Ready? Hold on. Why did it not recognize? Bro, hold on. I held my phone too close. Y'all hear that? So yeah, I just sent another $47. So yeah, that's the Apple Pay noise, so that's how you know it's legit. Here, I'll link the hats real quick. Here, actually, I'll put them in the pinned. I'll put them in the pin. Hold on. Give me a second. Here. We'll do a shameless plug for, you know, the Don. Copy. Paste. Yeah, but it's one red typically. All right, there we go. It's pinned up top too, so.
Not give anything if you can't afford it. You got to take care of yourself, and you got to make sure you're going to be good and strong for the future. But if you can, it will be helpful. They have a lot of money, the Democrats. They don't have good policy. They don't have good anything, including, by the way, a candidate. But they have a lot of money. So whatever you can do would be helpful, and we appreciate it. We're going to win, and we're going to win big, and it's going to be one of the biggest wins, I think, in the history of our country. It's the most important day. November 5th, most important day in the history of our country.
I love that these are his ads, dude.
And I wish you all a lot of luck, and get out and make sure you vote and get all your friends and vote. And we're going to have a big shocker coming up, and we're going to turn our country around. We're going to make America great again. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, so go donate if you can, guys.
Madam Vice President.
We're in the home fucking stretch. These are the last 20 fucking days, so stop being a cheap ass, stop being lazy, go fucking vote early, and, you know, let's drive this fucking bitch home, dude. This is probably going to be an absolute fucking epic victory royale. So, you know, go do your part. Dark City, you have dementia if you think he was on stage for 39 minutes doing absolutely nothing. He was listening to music while paramedics were attending to two people that passed out in the crowd. And then, after that, he asked if everybody just wanted to keep listening to music and he would hang out, and they said yes. So,
I can't afford this shit!
if you think that Trump stood on stage for 39 minutes for no reason, then you're the one with dementia. Let's see. So, Slick Rick with the 5. Liam Payne fell off a balcony and died today. I don't know who that is. He really went oh, was it a One Direction person? Yeah, I have no fucking clue. Hopefully it didn't ding anybody's car.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration, because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have.
That's right. It's a topic of discussion, guys. Not that it's a problem, not that it's a serious issue that needs to be addressed. Oh, it's, you know, just a topic of discussion. It's just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right now,
just a
which
number.
is-
Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
It's a
an
rough
immigration
estimate of
system
6 million people
that
have been
needs to be-
released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get you the question, I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And
No, you weren't. Bro, it's funny. Like, the entire time, he's just trying to actually get her to answer a question, and she keeps doing her fucking, like, just droning on and on, saying absolutely fucking nothing.
when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies.
Her voice is obnoxious.
Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes.
Oh, Hillary sounds
So,
like a genius
looking
by
back,
comparison.
You regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration.
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act,
Didn't answer the
before
question.
Chips and
Shocking.
Science Act, before the bipartisan...
See, this is a classic fucking dodge. He asked why they got rid of the executive orders like Remain in Mexico and then created this immigration crisis. And she's saying, well, the first thing we did was try to pass a bill, which is not true. They did that 9 months ago, not 3.5 years ago. The thing is the whole question would be is why did you get rid of the protections in place before you had an actual fix from Congress? Why did you get rid of the fucking, executive orders from Trump that dealt with the border when you had no solution in place yourself? Like, that's the entire thing. She can't fucking answer that because it makes her look like a fucking inept idiot. Because they literally had such TDS that literally any Trump executive order, they immediately just revoked, regardless of what the fuck it was, which in fact resulted in Biden having to sign a bunch of executive orders that were carbon copies of the ones Trump already had in place because they fucking needed them. So it's like, this is the thing, man. It's just pure fucking incompetence for the past 4 years. It's pure fucking incompetence. Ryan Miller with the 10. Hey, Griffin, I watched the interview of Camel Toe on Fox News, and I fucking died of laughter because she came across as an entitled teenager. Brett Baird did a good job, and she is going to crash and burn. Yeah, dude, he was like trying to actually get a fucking question out, and she just kept droning on and on and on and on, wasting time, which, is basically the entire premise of her existence on Earth. A waste of everyone's fucking time. May 1st burst of the fight, the bill border bill, Kamala keeps saying Trump shot down, allowed in thousands of illegals. Yeah, 1.9 million a year. Not to mention the federal government wouldn't even get involved with border crossings until it hit that 2 million number. It was a poison pill designed to not pass. Yeah, exactly. It's supposed to be a bipartisan bill, which would literally have done nothing. So, it's just pitiful, bro. It really is. These fucking people are some of the biggest liars and just absolute frauds imaginable.
Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath,
Not true.
was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes,
Not
ma'am. It was
true.
called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021. It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding,
But
please?
this-
But you have to let me finish,
You had the
please.
White House and the House and the Senate.
He doesn't
and they
have to
didn't
do
allow
anything.
Responding to
I
the
would have said
point
I don't
you're
have to do
raising,
anything.
and I'd
It's a
like to
democracy.
finish.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house,
No.
no matter what condition it's in.
We recognized from day one that to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties.
Her voice is just so obnoxious.
What we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting
either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out.
Conservative members of the United States Congress.
Oh my, yeah. Fucking Mitt Romney is not one of the most conservative members of yeah, shut the fuck up, bitch. Holy fuck. Yeah, the most conservative members of Congress. Is that why 90% of the Republican Party opposed it? Yeah, fuck off, dude. It's just, they cannot help but just fucking lie. The lies just continue to flow constantly. So it's just incredible. But, you know, the whole theme of this interview was Trump bad. Trump is the reason for everything wrong in the world. Don't blame me, even though I've had 4 years to fix it, and my 4 years in office have directly resulted in most of the problems we're facing today. It was actually Trump's fault for being a big meanie and pointing the finger at people, calling them dumb. But apparently she's having a full-blown meltdown over this shit. So, you know, not really surprising. In Logic Bender with the 7 months, I thought her purpose was making Dems come... Oh, making Dems come... Oh, okay, gotcha. And Delta with the 5, just listen to that whining chat. You want that for another 4 years? Trump 2024. Exactly. I don't know how any self-respecting man can look or listen to her and just be like, oh my God, that's who I want telling me what I can and can't do. Like, you have to be an absolute just soy cuck in order to want to have this fucking thing telling you to do anything, bro. Or having any sort of faith in her whatsoever to even have a fucking chance of, like, standing up to world leaders or, you know, having an ounce of fucking, you know, dignity in the world stage. Like, this woman is a fucking joke. An absolute fucking joke.
To actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border,
and 1.9 million people in the country each year.
Supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done.
I love when people use big words, Dreamcast guy, and they don't even know what the fuck they actually are to sound intelligent.
Yes, ma'am.
As the Attorney General, former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs, guns, and human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
Six Democrats voted against that bill.
Learned about that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election, this is rightly a discussion.
No, because you don't grant mass amnesty to every single person that entered the country illegal, you dumb fucking hoe.
That the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions, and they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you,
but actually is focused on fixing it.
6 Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungary, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley.
Oh, this part was bad.
Who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday, campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe these families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases.
Oh.
There's no question about that.
No
There's
question.
no question about that. And I can't imagine
God, she's so
the pain
fake.
that the families of those victims have
Holy
experienced
shit, man.
for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border.
Nope, never
more
apologizes.
Support for the folks who are working around the clock, trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually
Or a dumb
cares
fucking cunt.
more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election. Because there was a solution, Brett.
No, there
Madam Vice
wasn't.
President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm
I will
saying.
tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I'm so sorry for her.
But I won't apologize for
Sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that.
it. It's
as well.
Trump's
In all
fault. No
fairness,
way.
I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
Today, I'm asking for you to chip in $5, $10, or whatever you can afford
I
to
don't
my
know who
congressional
you are.
campaign. Look, recent polling shows that Eugene's race in Virginia 7th is in a statistical tie with his MAGA extreme.
Good. I hope your fucking homo ass loses.
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before.
We don't need any
Let's
more
all be
fucking
honest
ass
about that.
fuckers in the
I have
Capitol,
no
man.
pride in saying that this is a perfect
That one
immigration
video
system.
was
I've
more
been
than
clear, I
enough.
think we all are. That it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist. They will tell you, we need more judges.
They'll tell you.
We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Brett.
Well,
that's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question.
But
There were
that's how the
90
system
plus
works.
executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many
Yep.
of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it.
I
They
get
want
it.
support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done.
Oh
These guys down
my
at the border, these men
God,
and women, they're working
dude.
hard. They're working around the clock. I get it.
I get it.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said at 2019 when you
Oh
first
my
ran for president.
God, bro.
And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement.
So you hear that? That was 5 years ago. So she acts like that's some sort of ancient like, you know, ancient period in human history. Oh my God, 5 years ago. That's not where I stand. It's like, okay, but then she's going to bring up the fact that Trump has been a meanie for the past decade. So it's an absolutely incredible. I want to talk about today. Meanwhile, goes back to 10 years ago with Trump.
Over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law.
No, that's not what they're asking, you dumb bitch.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings,
you
and
lied.
I've not done that as vice president, and I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
But let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel, to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
Oh my God, this part's funny.
Every transgender.
She still does, by the way.
In the prison system would have access.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law. And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed.
No, he didn't.
You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system.
No, they weren't.
And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries
you know what, you got to take responsible for what happened
presidency.
in your administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's
so
in
would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment?
She's such an idiot.
I think Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
I think he spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters, because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas, at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really...
Yeah, she's forgetting the fact that the question wasn't whether it's legal or not. It was whether or not she actually approves of it, which Trump does not. Like, there's plenty of things that are technically legal or whatever that people don't approve of. You're the one who, like, advocated for it. So, that's the difference.
Quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are.
Oh, it was very different.
On plans for the American people, I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker, would ignite inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States.
Who's we?
It has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump. People are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that.
Yeah, she never actually talks about
would be
her
again
plan.
to give tax cut to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation
She still
of Joe
doesn't
Biden's
answer
presidency.
it.
And like every new president that comes in to office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C.
Oh my God. Yeah, you spent it in fucking elected office. Same fucking difference. You're a career politician, sweetie. You're not that fucking special. You know how much time Trump has spent in Washington? 4 years, the same as your disastrous term. Not to mention the fact that you were a senator and before that were attorney general and DA in California. So yeah, you have a much longer political record of absolute fucking failure.
I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about work.
Yeah, I'm gonna decrease the cost of housing by making all houses $25,000 more expensive across the board by giving everybody $25,000 to spend on their down payment. What an absolute genius, man. Absolute fucking genius. A true financial mastermind. Let's see. So I saw there with the 2. Scorgi from Gears of War 2. Who knows, man? Who even fucking knows? There's nothing between those 2 earrings of hers. Just a little marble bouncing around. And Wing Cake with the 5. An amnesty bill. 11 million illegals would destroy the economy, raise rent, raise medical costs, and create a bigger homeless issue. Trump, exactly. Not to mention they would absolutely decimate the Social Security program because as soon as they become citizens, they all of a sudden qualify for Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare and all that bullshit too. So... Yup, it would be an absolute fucking disaster. Private Rat Kicker with the 2. One of my coworkers is a Mexican who's joining ICE. Nice, bro. And Andrew with the 5. I've never heard anyone use so many words to say absolutely nothing. Yeah, that's literally her only talent, is just filling the air with just pure fluff. And like rehearsed lines that mean absolutely nothing.
Working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years, so what are you turning the page from?
Oh no, we're embarrassed. We screwed up. Our warehouse is overloaded with survival food kits, but our mess...
Well, first of all, $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years, so what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we have been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans
It's Trump's
literally
fault
point
for
fingers
everything.
at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates
Trump
us.
bad
That
is her
is
only running
turning
point.
the page.
70% of people
That is
tell
about turning the
pollsters-
page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than
People are
70% of people
exhausted.
tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about.
it's so
you and
bad.
I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
But you're
people
the
have
lever of
become.
power.
But
God.
listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me,
They're not real Republicans,
the
but go
former
on.
chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president. One, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable.
This is
that he is
nothing to do with the
dangerous,
question.
and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and
She
it being
is
about
dumb.
him
Madam
instead
Vice
of
President,
the American people.
If
People
that's the
are
case,
tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
It's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a
So
cakewalk.
are they misguided,
Oh
the
my
50%?
God,
Are they stupid?
she's
What-
so
what is
God,
it?
I would
fucking
never say
dumb,
that about
man.
the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you
She's
watch any of
so
his rallies, he's the one who
fucking
tends to demean
dumb.
and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall.
Dude, it's
and
just
this is how
so
he responded.
bad.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. We've got to think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you.
I'm telling you that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it.
That's not the question. No, it was the question. We're the ones that interview. No, you didn't show it. Holy fuck, man. She is so dumb. So fucking dumb. The answer to that in that moment would have been like, well, see how quickly he changes his tune. He'll say anything to think, or to change the minds of people when he thinks that he's gone too far at revealing his true intent. Like, she's not even good at framing Trump as this evil guy. She's just fucking dumb, bro. She's absolutely fucking brainless.
Many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American...
Yeah, there's only one political party that's turned the military against the American people, and that's the fucking Democrats with COVID lockdowns.
Military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy...
No, it's not, sweetie. It's really not a democracy, you dumb fucking cunt. But, you know, dude, please. It would be so fun to have an argument with this dumbass. She is so stupid. Absolutely fucking stupid.
The President of the United States in the United States of America should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it.
You're the ones trying to put him in jail, you dumb fuck.
Which is why you have someone like the former
Wait. This is the fucking party of people that's trying to put Trump in prison for questioning an election. But she's making the claim that he's trying to put people in jail for criticizing him? So Trump can't criticize an election, but you can criticize him? But he needs to go to jail and you... Like, it's so fucking dumb. She is idiotic, bro. She is absolutely idiotic. What did Griff say? What about... Oh, the Asmongold thing? Asmongold is 100% right. Sharia law is a cancer to humanity and should be completely obliterated. And it is an inferior culture. 100%. And the Palestinians would 100%, you know, level Israel if they had the opportunity to, because they are a terrorist organization, plain and simple. Hamas is not anything except a terrorist cell of Islamic extremists. That is it. Sharia law is a cancer that needs to be purged from this earth and is not compatible with any culture other than their own. And even that's debatable.
Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about
Milley.
Donald Trump being a threat.
Yeah, Mark Milley is the fucking dipshit that was in charge of the Afghanistan withdrawal, keep in mind. Mark Milley is the genius tier general that orchestrated the Afghanistan withdrawal, that had people hanging off the side of planes, you know, falling from 1,000 fucking... 1,000 feet above the air, like, you know, airport. You know, they got 13 Marines killed and like dozens of other ones injured. Yeah, it's just incredible. What a great guy. He definitely is a true expert on competent leadership.
To the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump... You call Donald Trump...
no one cares about the stupid books.
You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable.
Dude, bro, honestly, if this was me, I would have broke the professional demeanor for a while and said, be quiet, sweetie, I'm asking you a question. Just to see her fucking rage and watch that fucking cunt freak out and just turn into a massive fucking rage hoe. Because, dude, it would be absolutely incredible. Could you imagine if somebody did that to her? Be like, be quiet, sweetie, I'm asking the questions here. Dude, she would lose her fucking mind. Oh, dude, I wish people had actual fucking balls in the media. I truly wish people had balls. Because the Democrats do that type of shit to Trump all the time. But, you know, God forbid, someone who's supposed to be, you know, center-right, quote-unquote, would dare do anything like that. Could you imagine the meltdown? Dude, her support with men would drop to like 10%. I guarantee you. It would be absolutely legendary. Let's see. So I saw there with the... Yeah, I'll take a look at that in a little bit. Nick Batista with the 5. The ability to speak doesn't make you intelligent. Wise words by Qui-Gon. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Abso-fucking-lutely. No, that person's career would be booming, dude. Do you know how many people would watch them after that? Do you know how revitalized their audience would be? Dude, half the country hates her. If somebody said something that pissed her off and got her to rage, you would have, you know, what, 150 million people that are patting you on the back for that? Private Rat Kicker with the 2. I'd call her Calamity Harris after this. Yeah, this was a disaster, dude.
I can't afford this shit!
An absolute fucking disaster. And Sebastian with the 25. Hey, Griffin, are you scared of abortion overturning it? No. Abortion's not even in the top 3 issues for this election. Like, abortion's actually tracking incredibly low for, you know, as desperate as they are to make it a major issue. It's actually not even that high up in the list of issues. And Cody Booth with the 2, the Mark Milley one. No, General Milley. I have no idea about the watch guy.
Stable, Brett?
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable?
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Apparently people who were in the room at this point were like waving their arms trying to get the interview stopped at this point when this question came up. Like apparently her staff was trying to like signal the hard cut essentially. Slick Rick with the 5 stopped watching Fox News when they fired my boy Tucker Carlson, but definitely earned a point from this. Yeah, this is actually a pretty decent interview for the most. It's the only time anyone's actually pressed her on anything. Mark Jacobs with the 2, this lady cannot be president of the U.S. Exactly, so get out and fucking vote and get everybody you know to go fucking vote. So do not wait. Go vote early in person if you can. You cannot leave this shit up to chance. Go fucking vote. Get this woman as far away from DC as humanly fucking possible. Oh, come on, bro. Really? Right when I unpause it?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but
is.
You talked about it.
And Donald
Trump
is.
said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump.
You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years.
It's just a broken record with these people.
You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best, including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out. Even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job is open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is a fact.
Madam Vice President, 2 more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest
What are you
priorities.
doing?
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the #1 threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently, whether it was in April or in October, and then several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel, I was there. Most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself, and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
But those
is,
proxies were getting funded by
my
Iran.
commitment to that is unyielding and unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions
Let's
in
go back to
oil
Donald
profits.
Trump, who pulled out of the deal that would have actually put...
Dude, it's every single time she gets pressed on everything. Let's go back to Donald Trump. Oh my God. It's just... This is horrible, bro. This is absolutely fucking horrible. Dude, they should just take the clip of her saying, let's go back to Donald Trump, and then put, I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. That should be the fucking commercial, man.
But here
Iran...
Take all the shit that's going wrong, like inflation soaring, housing prices soaring, war in the Middle East, the war in Ukraine, the border crossings, and then take her clip of saying, let's go back to Donald Trump. And then it says, I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. There you go. There's your winning campaign ad.
I can't afford this shit!
Holy shit, man.
In check.
The estimates in billions.
It was during Donald Trump.
This part's interesting because listen to what he says in a minute.
That go towards the Iran regime.
That we had an American military base that was attacked, where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches, not to mention...
Oh my God. Dude, this is the dumbest fucking point any person has ever made. So, let's just say this. Your enemy attacks you, okay? Do you A, let your enemy know how devastating the attack was, or B, play it off like it's nothing and their entire effort went, basically in vain? Do you let them know that their attack was effective, or do you act like they completely fucking failed in every single aspect? Strategically. Obviously, you don't fucking let someone know that just shot your fucking base with missiles that they were effective. But these dumb fucks are literally the same people that put their plan for defeating ISIS on the fucking internet for ISIS to read ahead of time and completely work around. We're gonna strike this area. Oh, wow, let's move all of our forces from this area to that area, meaning their entire effort will be in vain. It's just idiotic, fucking incompetent people, bro. They're just stupid. These would be the type of people that would post that they're going on fucking vacation on a fucking subreddit dedicated to fucking armed robberies and shit. Oh yeah, this person's going to be out of town. Let's go steal all their shit. I mean, it's just idiotic, bruh. Oh, of course it was on purpose. These people are completely inept in every single way. They're just stupid, man. Absolutely fucking stupid.
I can't afford this shit!
Why the fuck would you telegraph to your enemy that, one, they're effective, and two, what your plans are? It's just idiotic, man. Absolutely idiotic. Sim Particle with the 10. I'm Canadian and not good at articulating why I support Trump. What are the go-to formal reasons to back my argument? Cheers. Well, if you're Canadian, I don't know why you would be backing. You need to get rid of Trudeau more than anything. But the easiest ones is no foreign conflicts, lower taxes, lower cost of living, lower energy prices, and jobs returning to the United States from foreign countries. I mean, those are like the main highlights, I would say.
Either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out.
Let's see. I saw there with the 2. I can't breathe. Dude, this is bad. This is absolutely horrible. I mean, this interview was an absolute disaster, bro. Apparently, she thought it was going to be a friendly interview, too, and her team is freaking the fuck out about it. Because, you know, Bret Baier is actually a Democrat, so he's an anti-Trump guy. So they thought it was going to be a friendly interview, apparently. Let's see. So Ryan Miller, the 5, Hager from Watch, Benny John. Yeah, we can probably check that out. And I think the media is going to have a tough time. No, they're apparently saying that she was courageous for going under, you know, harsh scrutiny. And she stood up against, you know, hard questions and delivered the answers that people cared about. It's like, oh my God, dude. Just put on the cuck collar. Like, honestly. It's Jover at that point, dude. Just put your little fucking cuck collar on. It's just so fucking sad, man. All these emasculated fucking men that are just absolutely cucked to this pantsuit retard. It's quite sad. But yeah, listen to what's about to be said here.
How Donald Trump has treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers,
Hamas,
has diminished the significance.
We're talking over each other. I apologize.
I would like that we would have a conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about...
Well, if you want to talk about the facts, why are you bringing up the easily debunked fucking Trump thing about the suckers and losers that's been debunked about 100 fucking times? But, you know, rules for thee, not for me.
The choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a decision that they feel.
Who look at what
is your important contrast? That you enriched Iran, allowed them to fund terrorism, you relaxed the sanctions on them, or, you know, are we going to talk about the guy that basically cucked them completely, told China if they buy 1 drop of Iranian oil, they'll have 100% tariffs on all Chinese goods, so they stopped? You know, took out their head military guy in a fucking, you know, Moab strike. So it's just very funny. Very fucking funny.
Administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, they're wrapping me very hard here.
There you go.
I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things.
There's more to say. I have much more to say.
There are a lot of things that people want to learn about you and your policies, and that's why I
invite everyone to go to kamalaharris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them. And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing,
gold
what I intend
and
to do
diamonds,
about small businesses,
iced out rolling.
That's why we invited you here to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
America's military and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President,
And
they're giving me a hard rap
Well,
here.
I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click.
You hear that? Dude, her team wouldn't even let her finish plugging her own fucking, campaign website. That's how fucking freak out they were getting over this interview. Like, her own team wouldn't let her plug the campaign website. They were so determined to wrap the interview because it was going so badly. So that just tells you everything you need to know, man. This was an absolute fucking unmitigated disaster for her. This was supposed to be her inroads to the more, I guess, moderate Republican types or male voters. And it completely failed miserably, dude. Absolutely fucking failed miserably. So it just shows you that, Trump has genuine beliefs. He has genuine stances on things, whether you like everything he stands for or not. At least you know what you're getting. With her, she can't answer the most do you support this? Well, Donald Trump did. So is that a yes or no? Do you say, well, no, let's go back and talk about Trump. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. You dumb, incessant cunt. No one wants to talk about Trump. We want to talk about you. You, dude. It's like insane, man. They have no fucking semblance of organic and natural thought. It's pathetic. It's absolutely fucking pathetic. But yeah, it's just literally the Democrats are, we don't like Trump. That is their entire fucking running stance in this election. And unfortunately, you have a large portion of the population that's been brainwashed from a young age that just votes blue no matter who. And this is the fucking end result of that, is you have just this dumb, vacuous cunt who can't even formulate her own fucking stance on an issue, having even a somewhat reasonable chance of maybe winning. It's just pathetic, man. It just shows you how stupid the average person really is, man. Most people are just literal brainwashed NPCs that just go see every Marvel movie, watch all their favorite sports teams, spend their entire paycheck on consumer goods, don't own anything, don't invest their money, literally just exist to fuel the pockets of the people that prop up vacuous cunts like her in the media, in Hollywood, in big business, and in basically every single aspect of life. It's just very funny. It's very fucking funny, man. I just, that's why when people say everyone is equal, I'm just like, yeah, at birth. Not after that. There are definitely people who are more, worthy of things than others at a certain point. So, everybody is created equal, but they sure as shit don't end up that way. That's for damn sure, man. That is for damn sure. Everybody has the same rights at birth, but how you decide to live your life determines your fucking results. And it fucking shows with a lot of these dumbasses. But, yeah. Let's see. So Francisco Sanchez Jr. with the 10. I remember when the Biden-Harris administration released $6 billion in a hostage release that went directly to Iran. America once again financing its alleged... Exactly. And then what did we do after Israel took out Hezbollah? We sent them $150 million. Not Israel. Hezbollah. For humanitarian aid. Yeah, they're definitely going to use it for fucking, ramen noodles and batteries for the people who were affected. Dude, we have absolute clowns in charge. Absolute fucking clowns. You know, these people are more than willing to just throw away your money for the dumbest shit imaginable. Let's see. What is that? Is that JJWR with the 20? Please listen to advice from a Brazilian ally. Get rid of electronic voting machines and never let the left have a majority in the Supreme Court. That's what led to that's what led my country to the dictatorship it's in today. Yeah, exactly, man. You know, the very thing that they accuse Trump of is the exact same thing they want to enact themselves. Like, you know, the camel toes and the Obamas and the Bidens of the world want to become dictators. That's why they're so easily projecting that idea onto Trump, is because, you know, then by extension, if they do it, well, you know, they didn't have the idea first. So it's just insane. It really is, dude. Like, we need to start unbrainwashing people as fast as humanly possible, which I'm really glad to see. Like, especially Hispanics are finally coming around, man. Because, like, for a while, you know, they fell into the trap, which, you know, black people are still in to this day for over 100 years, of thinking that the Democrats are their allies. They're not. They literally just use you to get into power and then do nothing for you. Like, they are the party of empty promises and telling everyone exactly what they want to fucking hear, and they collect their little army of useful idiots, and they use, abuse, and forget about you. It's like back in Nazi Germany with the fucking brown shirts, which is basically what Hitler used in his, like, rise to power, and when they were no longer useful to him, he had them rounded up and executed, because he used them to, like, commit basically terrorist acts in Germany. So when they were no longer useful to him, what did he do? He basically discarded of them and just, you know, killed them all off, essentially, for lack of a better, you know, way to put it. And it's the same way with the Democrats, man. It's all about maintaining power. And once you're no longer useful to them, you're fucking gone. That's how it works. Well, let's see. That guy with the 5, vote Trump. Absolutely, man. We got to. Like, there's no other option. Like, that is your other option. Is that a suitable person to run the United States? I don't fucking think so. Like, this isn't like an Obama that at least you can tell there's intelligence. Like, Obama is not stupid. He wouldn't get us into, like, a world conflict. She would. She is an absolute vacuous moron. There is nothing there. You know, Bill Clinton, Obama, even Biden to a certain degree is not dumb. She is dumb. No, Obama was not pushing for her originally. He didn't want her to run because he didn't think she could win. But, you know, he's a Democrat, so he's going to prop up their candidate so he can exert control later down the line. But, no, she was not his pick. She was Hillary's pick. Because, you know, the Clintons and the Obamas hate each other for the most part. But at the end of the day, they'll come together and try to win because they want their party in power. Yeah, Obama, like, whether you agree with him or not, he's smart. Like, you can't look at Obama and say he's an idiot. Like, he's smart. Now, whether he's honest or lying or misrepresenting things or, you know, you can get into that whole can of worms. But Obama is not an idiot. She is an idiot. So that's the difference. We can watch, I don't know if they uploaded Trump's town hall today, but we can watch that too. Let's see. Let's see if somebody... Oh, fuck. I clicked the arrow, not the video. Let's see. Fox. Let's see if somebody re-uploaded it. Alright, we can try to watch this. I think it's on, let's see. Trump went on Univision just tonight? I didn't see that one. We could watch his Bloomberg interview, which was great. Oh, this just happened tonight. All right, let's see if it lets me watch. Dude, hold on. That guy was like, look at him, dude. He's like literally about to pounce on the stage and like, you know, start giving him a hug or some shit. Like, he looks excited. Damn, bro. It looks like he's waited his entire life for that moment. Oh my God.
And
most of them probably know English. The thing is this is a Spanish-speaking news station. So the questions will be asked in Spanish because the primary audience of this network is Spanish speakers. So that's the reason why. Most of these people probably know English to a certain degree. And even if they don't, you know, that's probably the intention, is just because this is a Spanish-speaking like news station. So that's why they're asking the questions in Spanish. But
ella ha sido todo. Como fiscal se enfrentó a traficantes y luchó contra los bancos. Como vicepresidenta luchó para bajar el precio de las medicinas. Como presidenta siempre va a luchar por ti.
You know, dude, when they whip out the Spanish ads, you know when it's fucking bad. Like, it's bad right now. No Democrat whips out Spanish ads unless they are truly desperate. Oh, God. Yeah, dude, those poll numbers have them shook. We'll be glad that they're actually letting Trump go on the fucking network and, you know, actually deliver an uncut and actual, you know, factual interpretation of what, you know, his message is. So you have to give some credit that they're actually willing to have him go on there and not edit the fuck out of it. Like, you know, 60 Minutes did with Camel Toe. You just notice the stark contrast, right? Again, whether you like Trump's answers or not, he literally gives you his opinion and stance on whatever it is. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He doesn't treat you like an idiot. He just fucking says it like he's thinking. And you can take that and do with it as you please. Meanwhile, you know, the other side is just, you know, a vacuous, empty void of... Let's see...
Ella ha sido todo. Como fiscal se enfrentó a...
Dude, they're really desperate. This reeks of desperation. Alright, so yeah.
Ella ha sido muchas...
Oh my God, bro. This just reeks of desperation. Constantly. Absolutely desperate.
Involved.
No, your vice president is typically not your right hand. That's not true at all. Vice presidents typically are just people you put on the ticket to help you win. Usually they have almost no responsibilities. It was actually a very rare instance that Camel Toe actually had an active, role within the administration itself. So that's actually very uncommon for vice presidents to do really anything when the president is in office. Like, what did Biden do under Obama? Absolutely nothing. Literally nothing. So that's the thing, man. Is usually with vice presidents, they don't do a damn thing for the most part.
Involved in that. There was a disaster. He should have fired a lot of people because he had the most unsuccessful.
Yeah, JD will mostly be dormant unless Trump gives him specific tasks to do.
Come back in this encounter with.
We
are back in this historic encounter with ex-President Donald Trump and the Latino voters.
Comes from Yaritzia Kuhn. She's a homemaker and has a question about women's reproductive rights.
Yaritzia here we go.
Se dedica al hogar y tiene una pregunta.
War, that's all I need to know. Well, I think it depends on the war, but anti-pointless war, yes. But yeah, personally, I'm not anti-war in a sense. I think we definitely should be taking out some people permanently that should have been a long time ago. But yeah, like the Ukraine shit, or, constantly, putting the fucking brakes and then hitting the gas when it comes to like Iran, for example, is just idiotic. If you're going to go to war, do it with intention. Like, go with the intention to win and end it. These everlasting conflicts to pad the pockets of government contractors and, all these various different groups that profit from all these, like, wartime exercises and supplies and all that type of shit is the issue. If you're going to go to war, actually fight the fucking war and end it. So... yeah, we should have won in Vietnam, but we had Congress constantly trying to destroy the war effort. So, it's pitiful, man. We easily could have won that. The only war that you should ever fight is one that directly benefits you. Well, the Korean War has never ended, man. The Korean War is still going on. We're just in like a perpetual state of ceasefire, essentially. But the Korean War is technically still ongoing. FYI. Let's see. So, Yonye Soy Milk Emporium with 39 months. Camel Toe has to be stopped. Trump 2024. Agreed, man. And HCM 101 with the 2. Obama is taking credit for Trump's account. Oh, exactly. That's because he has no actual accomplishments of his own to point to. So, he's got to ride off of Trump's coattails, essentially, which is pretty ironic. And Ferrix with the 5, I genuinely don't see how anyone can watch this interview and go, I want to... that. Yeah, dude, she's so bad. She's absolutely horrible. Like, I don't even care if you're the biggest leftist of all time. Like, how the fuck do you listen to her talk for more than 10 minutes and think, yep, that's the person who should be making, life or death decisions for, hundreds of millions of people around the globe. It's crazy, man. And 04 Alphatron with the 10. Also, when they say Trump is a threat to America, what they mean to say is a threat to the radical left that do evil stuff and, yeah, have hijacked America. And they can't get away with it with him as president. Yep. Well, unfortunately, they can get away with a lot of it, but it's just much harder to do so. It's like a speed bump, essentially, unless you have, you know, consecutive Trumps back-to-back, essentially. And that guy with the 5 men voting for Harris are soy boys. They're probably just trannies. They're awaiting their chemical castrations. And Mark Jacobs with the 5, Trump has many issues, but at least as he knows... but at least as he knows what he's doing, she doesn't know what to do. TDS is real. Also, Joe Rogan experience ain't happening. Oh, her going on? Yeah, no, there's no fucking way. I don't know. I think Trump is going on, but there's no way she goes on that. Because apparently what happened is she was demanding the questions ahead of time, and Joe said, it's not an interview, it's a conversation. We're a podcast, not a news show. And I think that's going to, you know, stop it in its tracks because she won't go to anything unless she knows the questions in advance. So... that's the thing. Let's see. So Nick Batista with the 2. I never understood how this is I don't think it is. It's just the media is trying to make it seem like she has a shot to save the down ballot. But yeah, I think Trump's going to win. As long as everybody gets out and fucking votes, go fucking vote so we can get the Don back in charge. And Claus Mystery with the 50 in Mexico, the radios are calling the alt-right the Ultra-Derica, which I don't think sounds the way they think. Laugh my ass off. Ban Dark City. All right. Let's see. Put him in timeout. Okay, an Eyesiler with the 5. Cover your eyes. Let me see. Open this in a regular tab since I have. Oh, God. Ew. That is hideous. Yikes. The mark of the beast. That's literally the mark of the beast, bro. Sebastian with a tier 1 membership. Appreciate it, man. And Flubble Nugget with the 2. Call me Haitian because I'm eating her pussy. Hell yeah, dude. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Z-Herb with the 20. Holy shit, the Asmongold situation's so dumb. He made a great point. People don't want to even bring up the possibility that Palestine isn't great. And the people aren't great people. Now he's apologizing. I feel that's... No, it's... Alright, so we kind of talked about this the other night. So the thing is with Asmongold apologizing, which is probably not actually genuine, is we know where he actually stands on this issue now. So the question is it a net positive for him to remain on normie platforms with his massively normie audience that he might be able to sway a significant margin of them towards one ideology versus the other? So that's kind of what you have to think about, is like he has to exist within the the environment that exists on like modern social media. So the question is it a net positive that he continues to kind of like softball red pill people on certain topics by feigning an apology when everybody knows he only apologized because he got banned? Like, no one actually thinks his apology is genuine. The lefties hate you regardless if you apologize or not, so it's completely worthless to apologize. He's just apologizing so he doesn't get banned permanently. That's it. So I think it's a net positive for someone like that to exist on, like, you know, leftist platforms with some, like, degree of freedom. Daniel with the 5. Our ballots are in English and Spanish, and both presidential candidates have to do these Spanish-speaking town halls. They don't have to. It's just to get, like, Hispanic votes. So you don't have to do them. It's just you want to meet voters where they are. So that's the thing, man. The more people Trump gets in front of, the more people like him. The more people that Camel Toe gets in front of, the less people like her. So Trump's biggest issue is that most people hear about him through the super biased framing of the media. So these are people that maybe have never actually listened to Trump speak ever. And, you know, get all of their, I guess, opinions and interpretations of his messaging through a very biased and leftist lens. So I think it's actually smart to do this type of stuff because it allows you to hear firsthand what Trump himself is saying, not what everybody else is saying about him, because the media is never going to be positive about Trump. Doesn't matter what he does, dude. He could cure cancer. He could literally, you know, end world hunger, whatever it might be. They will never give Trump credit for literally anything. Remember the whole fucking ivermectin shit with COVID? Well, it turns out that was 100% legit. And on top of that, they just found out that it's almost a cure for cancer and is more effective than chemotherapy. But Trump was a conspiracy theorist and was trying to poison people for letting them know about its existence. So that's the thing, is you have to be able to, like, actually get your message out there. And the media will astroturf everything a Democrat candidate says. It doesn't matter. They'll spin it in a positive light. For Trump, he has to actually deliver the message directly. So and Ferris with the 5, I love how the camel toe ads are plastered all over the Trump. Oh, yeah. That shit's pure desperation because you know she specifically targeted this video. Or at least the campaign did, but... polls are not neck and neck. Bro, if you look at the polling average from 2016 and 2020 and compare it to 2024, there wasn't a single poll that had Trump up in any fucking state for the most part. Like, Trump is running in the polls 6 to 7 points higher than he did in 2020 and 2016. So, no, the polls are very fucking good for Trump right now.
I can't afford this shit!
And let's see, Merc with the 2, where was Trump's teleprompter? I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, I guess he didn't need it. But that's, like, you know, that's what you can say about Trump, is whether you agree with him or not. The guy actually has a genuine fucking stance on whatever it is he's talking about. It's not some canned response that, you know, him and his fucking 18 fucking campaign aides, you know, practiced 75 times before coming out on stage.
I can't afford this shit!
Nah, I don't gamble, bro. I've never been a big gambler. I don't enjoy gambling. I'd rather just buy stuff. Like, my way of gambling, I guess, is speculative assets. Let's see. 7-Minute Man with a 2. Have you seen the Polymarket poll for the election? Yeah, I mean, Polymarket's not definitive science. I mean, typically, if you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, you have a pretty good inclination of what's going to happen. But yeah, Trump's up like, what, 15 points on there? Percentage-wise? No, the Aerith cards aren't a gamble, bro. They're not leaving my possession. They're mine. I'm not selling them. So, not the same thing. You have to sell something for it to be a gamble. And I ain't selling. It's at 58.41. Yeah, Polymarket's not an exact science, so don't put way too much emphasis on that. But it's a good reflection of popular sentiment, basically. Like, it's a good reflection of the general sentiment of the election, which could correlate to turnout and then votes and everything like that. Let's see. I think I had... Hold on, let me see. We can try to watch this, but I don't know if it'll work. I was trying to find...
I can't afford this shit!
Yeah, I don't know why Fox didn't upload, like, the full video of their Trump interview. That would have been nice to see. Why would we watch the Asmongold drama today? It's literally a like 20-second clip. We've already seen it. Let's see. Wing Cake with the 2. If Trump wins, he can open the Olympics and World Cup. I don't really care about that, to be honest, man. Here, we'll watch... We should watch this. This is fucking funny, man. This was a great interview. The Bloomberg interview. This is classic Trump, man. He was popping off in this one. All right, here we go.
Hyperscale data centers power the AI boom, and they drive the modern world. They are also at the... about her economic plans that she has declined so far. And second, just to set some parameters about this interview, which I was just discussing with President Trump, we're going to focus on business and the economy. And that's partly because this is a business audience, but it's also because voters insist that the economy is the main issue that matters when they vote. So, on that note, let me invite onto the stage President Trump.
I have English ancestry. Well, dude, most white people have English ancestry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Have a seat.
I like that crowd. That's a nice group of people. Thank you very much.
Standing ovation.
Thank you.
President Trump, thank you for doing this, as we said, and you heard the reception there. The business people of Chicago, like everywhere else, they like a lot of the things you want to do in terms of tax cuts and some of the spending proposals, but like many business people, what they're often worried about is the cost. And the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, which is a bipartisan outfit,
no, it's not,
put out some predictions the other day. If you add up all the promises you've made, and your plans would add $7.5 trillion to the debt. That's more than twice the total for Vice President Harris. You're on course to push up debt up to 150% of GDP. You know, this is a very business-like audience.
Yeah.
Why should they trust you with that?
Because we're about growth. She's got no growth whatsoever, and we're all about growth. We're going to bring companies back to our country. You look at, even today, as I was driving over, I see these empty, old, beautiful, like steel mills and factories that are empty and falling down. Some have been converted to senior citizens' homes, but that's not going to do the trick. And we're going to bring the companies back. We're going to lower taxes still further for companies that are going to make their product in the USA. We're going to protect those companies with strong tariffs, because I'm a believer in tariffs. I'm not sure that you are. I don't think you are, but I congratulate you on your career. But to me, the most beautiful word in the dictionary is tariff, and it's my favorite word. It needs a public relations firm just to help it, but to me, it's the most beautiful word in the dictionary.
Tariffs, do you think that will bring in the revenues? To use another bipartisan group, Peterson Institute, they say they only bring in $200 billion. That is that's barely the cost of two of your promises.
Yeah, but that's like, for what company are you talking about, okay? Look, I've brought in with tariffs, and I was just getting started. Then COVID came, and we had because I tell you what, I did a very good job in COVID. Nobody knew what the hell it was. I call it the China virus because I like being a little more accurate. But when that came, but we got hundreds of billions of dollars just from China alone, and I hadn't even started yet. The tariffs are two things, if you look at it. Number one is for protection of the companies that we have here, and the new companies that will move in, because we're going to have thousands.
Just for context, this guy from Bloomberg is a massive raging leftist. Like, most British people hate Trump because, you know, he embarrassed them on the international stage several times when it came to a lot of things back in the day. But this, like, I guess Bloomberg reporter has a massive fucking hate boner for Trump. So keep that in mind watching this, especially when it gets a little more heated later.
Thousands of companies coming into this country. We're going to grow it like it's never grown before. And we're going to protect them when they come in, because we're not going to have somebody undercut them. And I could give you an example of this if you want. Would you like me to? Because it just happened.
Give me a quick example, then I will come back.
I just found out about it. So I've been talking about for the last year about Detroit and how horribly it has been. You know, it's just horrible, because we've been talking about Detroit's coming back for 40 years, and it's never come back. And it's very dependent on the car industry. Well, they've lost 60% of the business over a long period of time. And what happened is I found out a friend of mine builds auto plants. That's all he does. He builds auto plants. That's what he's good at. He doesn't want to build an apartment. All he wants to build is, and he builds the biggest in the world. And for the last year and a half, if anybody's heard me speak, I was talking about Mexico as a tremendous challenge for us right now, tremendous. China is building massive auto plants in Mexico. And they're going to build them, and they're going to take those cars and sell them into the United States. They're very near the border. And they're going to have all the advantages and none of the disadvantages. And that's going to be the end of Michigan. It's going to be the end of, frankly, South Carolina. Going to be the end of everything. So I've been talking about this, and I said to him about 9 months ago, I said, you know what? I want you to do me a favor, John. His name is John. I don't want to give his last name because he might not like it. But I said, I want to see an auto plant. I want to go and see one of these. You know, you press a button and everything works, right? I want to see one of the big ones. He said, all right, good. I said, where do we go? I'd like to go to Michigan. I'd like to go to someplace in the United States. He said, no, we can't do that. Why? We're not building anything big in the United States. That's not where we don't build the big ones here. I said, where are you building the biggest ones? He said, in Mexico. We're building giant plants, the biggest plants anywhere in the world. In Mexico, I said, so you mean they're going to make cars cheaply? They have advantages over labor and other things, and they're going to sell them into the United States, and they're going to put Michigan out of business. Is that what? I don't know anything about that. All I do is build the plants. If you want to see a plant, we'll go to Mexico. I'll show you the biggest plant in the world. That was 9 months ago. I saw him, and I talked about it all the time because I think it's a serious threat to our country, because not only autos, but other things. So then I see him. 2 days ago, I was talking at another club, very nice club, and like this, except, I don't know, I think you people are probably even wealthier, okay? This was in Detroit, okay, which was appropriate. And I was showing them all sorts of charts about how their car, you know, it's just gone down, it's like terrible. And I saw him, and I said, oh, how are you doing? How have you been? I said, could I ask you, how are those plants that you mentioned, those giant plants that you're building in Mexico, how is that coming along? Have you finished them? No, sir. They abandoned the project when they heard you're running. They abandoned the project when they saw that you were winning and doing well.
Software vendors can make a profit of 90% on maintenance fees.
And that's legit.
So why are they often delivering?
I guarantee you that's 100% legit, because all it takes is for somebody to actually do fucking something, because our government is so inefficient. They do absolutely fucking nothing. They let all these other countries just step all the fuck over us because they're bought and paid for. And the second somebody even just, you know, mentions the concept of actually taking some sort of action, all these people act accordingly. Like, it's really that easy. It's just we have absolute incompetent idiots calling the shots.
I said, well,
all the same.
Because I told them, and I said it publicly, they're not going to sell one car into the United States. I said, if I run this country, if I'm going to be president of this country, I'm going to put a 100, 200, 2,000% tariff. They're not going to sell one car into the United States because we're not going to destroy our country. Because I know you're an anti-tariff guy, but I'm the exact opposite. If I had, there was no other way I could have stopped them other than, what am I going to do, negotiate with Mexico or China? You're not going to get anything from that. I said I'm going to put a 100, 200, or 300. I'm going to put the highest tariff in history, meaning I'm going to stop them from ever selling a car into the United States. So I just see the guy by accident. I see him. He says, sir, they've abandoned and by the way, they built foundations. They were really rocking. They were going to do it. They thought that I was going to win, or maybe they're just holding off. I tell you this, if I don't win, those factories are going to wipe out this country. They're the biggest factories ever built for cars. They're going to wipe out our country. If she wins, and she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. If she wins, she's not going to be thinking about, I couldn't, every speech I made having to do with cars, but every speech I made having to do with tariffs, I'd mentioned that our country is being threatened by Mexico. Now, all of those things, beyond even the car companies, all of those things are now dead. They're dead. I asked them, will they start? Probably not. They're dead as a doornail. If she gets in, it'll start up again.
President Trump, I'll let you give your example.
No,
you talked a lot about tariffs. You look at the American economy, 40 million jobs rely on trade. It counts for 27% of GDP.
Okay.
If you cut that off, that's also going to have an effect on many, many business people here.
Yeah.
Tariffs also have another side. Isn't that something that you have to acknowledge?
No.
You could be plunging America into the biggest trade war since Smoot-Hawley.
But there are no tariffs.
You're going to stop. There are tariffs already at the moment.
There are no tariffs. All you have to do is build your plant in the United States, and you don't have any tariffs.
But people, a lot of places like this, there are a lot of jobs that rely on foreigners coming here. You're going to basically stop trade with China. You're talking about 60% trade on that, 60% tariffs on that. You're talking, as you said, 100, 200% on things you don't really like. You're also talking about 10, 20% tariffs on the rest of the world. That is going to have a serious effect on the overall economy. And yes, you're going to find some people who will gain from individual tariffs. The overall effect could be massive in terms of the economy.
I agree it's going to have a massive effect, positive effect. It's going to be a positive, not a negative.
Well,
let me just let me tell you, I know
example.
how committed you are to this, and it must be hard for you to, spend 25 years talking about tariffs as being negative and then have somebody explain to you that you're totally wrong. It'll have a negative, it will have, I'll go a step further. If you don't do this, this country has no chance.
40 million jobs is a lot of jobs to rely on trade.
They're all coming back.
You've
lost
that pissed him the fuck
in
off.
America that rely on trade.
Are you ready? John Deere, great company. They announced about a year ago they're going to build big plants outside of the United States, right? They're going to build them in Mexico.
And you threatened them with tariffs and they stopped.
That's right. I said, if John Deere builds those plants and not selling anything into the United States, they just announced yesterday they're probably not going to build the plants, okay? I kept the jobs here, and I'll keep John Deere will stay here. And I'll tell John Deere, if you do build outside of the United States, you can if you want. For instance, India is a very tough country. It's not only China. China is the, I would say, probably the toughest. But there are a lot of tough. You know what's very tough? European Union. Our beautiful European countries, wonderful, wonderful. If you add them up, they're almost the size of us. They treat us so badly. We have a deficit. I said to Angela Merkel when she was there, she's not there anymore, I wonder why, but when she was there, I said, Angela, how many Chevrolets do we have in Berlin? Why, Donald, you have none. He said, that's right. How many Fords do we have in Frankfurt? I don't know, none. I said, that's right. You know how many cars we have? Mercedes-Benz, BMW, all of the different Volkswagen, millions and millions of cars. And then I said farm products. They don't want our farm. They don't want anything from us. We have deficits that are crazy. And we're not going to have them anymore. We're going to put tariffs on them, and they're going to do, and you know what they can do? The Mercedes-Benz will start building in the United States. And they have a little bit, but you know what they really are? Assembly, like in South Carolina. But they build everything in Germany, and then they assemble it here. They get away with murder because they say, oh, yes, we're building cars. They don't build cars. They take them out of a box and they assemble them. We could have our child do it.
Can we come back? Let's come back to the Europeans in a second. What about consumers? People out there.
They're going to be the biggest beneficiaries.
Yeah, critics say your tariffs will end up being like a national sales tax.
No.
Because
the countries
if you have America at the moment has $3 trillion worth of imports, you're going to add tariffs to every single one of them. That is going to push up the cost for all those people who want to buy foreign goods.
Yeah, we need to revitalize
just simple
trade.
mathematics, President Trump.
It's not. Yeah, it is, but not the way you figure it. I was always very good at mathematics.
The concept of everyone needs to go to college is stupid.
Those companies,
$3 trillion worth of imports.
And they don't have to pay. And the higher the tariff, the more likely it is to have them come into the country.
The higher the tariff, the more you're going to put on the value of those goods, the higher people are going to have to pay in shops.
Ready? The higher the tariff, the more likely it is that the company will come into the United States and build a factory in the United States so it doesn't have to pay the tariff.
That will take many years.
In fact, I'll tell you, there's another theory is that the tariff, you make it so high, so horrible, so obnoxious that they'll come right away. When I do the 10%, 10% is really, first of all, 10%, when you collect it, is hundreds of billions of dollars. The numbers that you're talking, all reducing our deficit. But really, so there's two ways of looking at a tariff. You can do it as a money-making instrument, or you can do it as something to get the companies. Now, if you want the companies to come in, the tariff has to be a lot higher than 10%, because 10% is not enough. Guys, they're not going to do it for 10.
But you make a 50% tariff, they're going to come in. Let me tell you the other thing about tariffs that's great. Our steel companies, as you know, 3-4 years ago, they were all when I was in office, I saw a man from a big steel company, and he was devastated. I knew him for a long time. And
Yep,
it's been
the
a
only
tough business.
taxes
It
we
was a
used
great
to have
business many
were on
years ago.
tariffs and
I would not
imports.
let U.S. steel be sold to Japanese, by the way. Psychologically, I think it would be a
That's the
terrible
Nippon
thing.
Steel, as you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't let it be sold. But I would stop it if it hasn't been completed by the time I'm president, because I think it sets a horrible tone. But I had a lot to do with steel. We were going to lose all our steel companies because China, as you remember, was dumping steel at levels that nobody's ever seen before.
Yep, I remember
and
that.
And I put a 50% tax on that and tariff on that, all dumped steel. And it was also bad steel. It was what they call dirty steel. It wasn't good steel, which is a bad thing for structural components of buildings and planes and things like that. They were dumping crap into our country. And I put a 50% tariff. I started at 25, I raised it to 50 because the 25 didn't quite do it. I raised it to 50 and that did it. They stopped dumping steel.
Yeah, the Chinese have to tear down entire like urban development zones, they call it, where it's like they build these massive skyscrapers and highways and subways and they have to completely demolish it because the steel that they use is so low quality that upon inspection, none of the structures are safe for human habitation. So literally the buildings would collapse in on themselves under, a small magnitude earthquake, heavy winds, like increased rain, like all sorts of shit. So China has a huge building problem where their materials are just insanely subpar.
And I saved our steel mills by having that. We saved it. We saved our steel. Now, what was left, because we've lost so much, but there are certain companies you have to have. There are certain things you have to have. Steel, you have to have. If you go to war, there's a possibility you go to war. I kept us out of war. I was the only president in 82 years that kept you out of a war, except I defeated ISIS, but I inherited that war. There's no wars.
Hyperscale data centers power the AI boom, and they drive the modern world. They are also at the heart.
And by the way, and I think it's very important, you can go, I call it the weave. You can call it, you have the weave as long as you end up in the right location at the end. But while we're talking about it, we have never been so close to World War III as we are right now. With what's going on in Ukraine and Russia and the Middle East.
Well, let's
I had no wars in the whole world. Think of it. And I talked them out of wars. I talked plenty of countries out of wars. I had the whole world, other than ISIS, which I inherited, and I knocked out ISIS in a matter of weeks. It was supposed to take 4 to 5 years. I did it in a matter of weeks. We actually have a great military. We don't know how to use it, but we have a great military.
With great respect, I was asking about tariffs. You've gone off about that. Seeing you brought up tariffs and foreign policy, many people would say the biggest problem with your tariffs is actually geopolitics. You, in your first term, you got some credit for effectively saying that there was a Cold War against China. That's what America was in. If you look at the last Cold War against the Soviet Union, America won it in part because it rallied allies to it. You're talking about slamming allies with 30%, 20% tariffs. Isn't this time you're going to end up trying to rally the West and you're dividing it instead? Isn't that the real problem with tariffs?
So our quote-unquote allies get to charge us, all the tariffs in the world, but it's a bad thing when, Americans actually return the favor. So basically this British cunt is saying that, the UK, the European Union, Australia, all these countries around the globe, India, that we protect and, basically defend and serve as like the de facto military for a lot of them, especially in Europe or like Japan, all these places. Like, they should be allowed to put tariffs on our goods, but we shouldn't be allowed to put tariffs on theirs. Like, if they're such great allies, why are they doing it to us in the first place?
Beyond all the problems due to the economy, where you keep on bringing out these individual examples, but the overall effect is going to be dramatic.
No, the
But
overall effect will
answer first about foreign policy.
Yeah, I'll do that.
How does it help you take on
It
China,
helps
turning all your allies against you?
tremendously, because China thinks we're a stupid country, a very stupid country. They can't believe that somebody finally got wise to them. Not one president, Bush, Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him? Not one president, think of it, not one president charged China anything. They said, oh, they are a third world nation, they're a developing. Well, we're a developing nation too. Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at our cities. We're a developing nation. We have to develop more than they do. We're way behind them. You take a look at what's happened to our cities. So what I'm saying is
my
this.
question was about your allies, not about China. You are going to annoy the people
Our allies,
you need to rally behind you.
But our allies have taken advantage of us more so than our enemies. Our allies are the European Union. We have a trade deficit of $300 billion with the European Union. Our allies are Japan. You know, Abe was a very good friend of mine. He was a great guy, great. And I said to him in Japan, he was assassinated. And he was a great man. He really was. I didn't see too many like him. And he got very sick and he had to take off. And then he was actually making a comeback. He was going to make a comeback and he would have won easily. But he was a great gentleman, handsome, wonderful man, respected by everybody.
He was Trump's good friend, apparently.
I went to him and I said, Shinzo, we have to talk. What? Trade. And he goes, I'll never forget it. I know. I said, what do you know? I knew you'd come to me. Why do you say that? Because I can't believe, I wouldn't tell this story if he was alive, actually. Said, I can't believe how many years it's been that nobody even negotiated with us in America. I said, Shinzo, you have to pay for your cars. You're sending millions of cars. You don't accept a car from us. You don't have one car that you accept, and yet we're selling 3 million, 4 million of your cars. I said, Shinzo, on agriculture, you won't even accept our agriculture. And I renegotiated the whole trade deal from a little disadvantage because I was stuck with a bad deal. I mean, I got stuck. We have trade deals that were so bad that I said, who are the people that are doing it? They're either very stupid or they're getting paid off, okay? It's one or the other. It's very simple. We have the worst trade deals all over the world. South Korea, I love South Korea. They're wonderful people, extremely ambitious. They have a money machine. We protect them from North Korea and other people. North Korea is very nuclear. I got along with him very well. Kim Jong-un.
Yes.
But wait.
Yeah, the Japanese, bro, it's kind of funny because, like, Trump and Shinzo Abe were, like, best friends, apparently, and they would go golfing and stuff together all the time. You know, he's the one of the video with Trump where Trump dumps the koi food in the pond. And, like, apparently they were big golfing friends. And, like, the Japanese believe that when you die, you have, like, basically a scenario where the person's spirit protects you as, like, a guardian angel. So the Japanese believe that basically Shinzo is looking down on Trump and protecting him from, like, the assassination attempts. And it's, like, a legitimate thing over there where they think, like, basically the ghost of, you know, Shinzo Abe is, like, protecting Trump because they were friends in life. And it's really funny, man. It's really funny. There's, like, all these different memes of it that are, like, unironic from Japan where they think, like, the ghost and spirit of Shinzo Abe is watching over Trump, protecting him from suffering the same fate that he, like, fell into. Which is kind of, you know, heckin' wholesome, dude. But yeah, it's pretty funny. So. No, it's an actual belief. The Japanese believe that, you know, basically the spirits of your friends and ancestors and family look down and protect you, essentially, from the afterlife. So it's like a part of Japanese mysticism. No, Japan is not an atheist country. The Japanese just have a very different, like, form of religion than we do. They believe in, like, spirits and, you know, like, many different deity. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe, but It's more about spiritualism than an actual like worship of a divine being. So yeah, it's kind of similar to like Roman religion where they had a ton of different gods for a bunch of different reasons, essentially.
Wait, they don't pay us anything. And I said, this is crazy. If I didn't put tariffs on, you know, the motor company, the car companies, they make most of their money on small trucks. I put tariffs on China, but I put 27.5%. Otherwise, we'd be flooded with Chinese cars. And all of our factories would close. We'd have no jobs at all in the auto industry. That goes for electric, by the way, which is a killer, which I've explained, and I don't think I have to bore anybody by talking about it. But I put tariffs on South Korea because they were sending in trucks. And I put tariffs on, fairly substantial tariffs. Do you know that our car companies make almost all of their money with the small trucks, SUVs and small trucks? If I took those tariffs on, you would be inundated. Every car company would be out of business. And I got calls from Ford. I got calls from everybody saying, sir, I can't believe you're doing this for us. You saved our company. We were going. They make all their money with this. They make most of their money with a small truck. And,
I have
you know,
a Chinese
many
car.
consumers ended up with more expensive cars. But let me just come at you on foreign policy.
You wouldn't have a car company.
You have said that Taiwan should pay for U.S. protection.
Yeah.
I ask because this morning you just mentioned North Korea. The Chinese army, literally as we speak, are engaged in rehearsals for a full naval blockade of Taiwan. So I suppose my question to you, if China invades Taiwan, would you send American troops to defend it?
Well, the reason they're doing it now is they're not going to do it afterwards, okay? So it's, you know, so they're doing it now. They want to do it China. Look, I had a very good relationship with President Xi, and a very good relationship with Putin, and a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un, who has a nuclear force that you won't even believe. And by the way, today it was announced for those that he just blew up the railroad going into South Korea. That means South Korea is now cut off from Russia and China and various other places. Cut off by rail.
President Trump, you just mentioned
No, but
Putin.
these are big things. I have to mention them.
Yeah, you just mentioned Putin, though, and this has been this controversy of the past week. Can you say yes or no whether you have talked to Vladimir Putin since you stopped being president?
Well, I don't...
So the United Auto Workers Union voted to endorse Trump, but the leadership, which are high-ranking Democrat fucking operatives, used the union to endorse Camel Toe. But the actual members of the Auto Workers Union endorsed Trump. So the leadership of the union endorsed Camel Toe, but the actual membership endorsed Trump. So those are two very different things. So, yeah. Unfortunately, the Democrats for generations have infiltrated the unions and like basically occupied leadership positions. So, yeah.
Comment on that, but I will tell you that if I did, it's a smart thing. If I'm friendly with people, if I have a relationship with people, that's a good thing, not a bad thing, in terms of a country. He's got 2,000 nuclear weapons, and so do we. China has a lot less, but they'll catch us within 5 years.
That sounds very much like that. Sounds very much like you did talk to him.
I don't talk about that.
You talk about talking to Netanyahu, you talk about talking to all these people.
Russia has never had a president that they respect so much, but more importantly, or less importantly, I guess, I went into Russia and people said, oh, he likes Putin and Putin likes him. Let me tell you, the first thing I did was terminated Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2. It's a pipeline from Russia to Germany and all over Europe. I said, wait a minute, to NATO. I said, so let's get this straight. My first meeting, I said, so Putin's building the biggest pipeline in the world. He's going to Germany, but all over Europe. And you're paying him billions of dollars a year, of billions of dollars a month. Germany's paying billions of dollars a month, and we're supposed to protect you against the guy that you're paying all this money to. So is there something wrong with my thinking? So he's building a pipeline to Germany, and we're spending, and by the way, until I got there, we were spending almost 100% for NATO because we had all these delinquent countries they weren't paying. When I got there, I said, you know what?
We are Ladita Farms, and we are Suwannee County.
Hell yeah.
And
all right,
by the way, my biggest fan is Stoltenberg, just leaving, Secretary General of NATO. He said when Bush came in, he made a speech and left. When Obama came in, he made a speech and left. When Trump came in, he made a speech and he said, let me see your books. And I found out in the books that nobody was paying. There were only 7 countries that were paying. We were supporting NATO. They screw us on trade so bad, the European nations. And then on top of that, they were screwing us on the military. So they're taking a tremendous advantage of us, $350 billion deficit on trade. And we're then supporting them. In other words, it's not sustainable. You can't keep doing this. You can't have that, China, all of these countries. And stupid people made these deals. I saw trade deals that were so stupid that you'd have to be, that was so bad that you'd have to be an idiot to sign them. And we signed them for years. We had, I could tell you trade deals that I have never seen anything. I said, who would agree to this? They had to be corrupt. They had to be corrupt. To make those deals, they had to be corrupt because there is no way a rational human being, I always say either corrupt or extremely stupid, because there's no way a rational human being would ever sign the trade deals that this country signed. And I got out of many of those deals. I told South Korea, I'm sorry, you're going to have to pay for your military. We have 40,000 troops over there. You're going to have to pay. You become a very wealthy country. Just to finish, you become a very wealthy. They said, no, 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 we will not pay. We will not. We haven't paid since the Korean War. I said, no, you got to pay. I said, would $5 billion a year to start off with? No, no. They went crazy. They agreed to 2. I got $2 billion for nothing. And I said, here's what we're going to do. They said, we can't agree to this because we have to go through Parliament. They have the Parliament or whatever their legislature is. I said, that's okay. I fully understand that. Make it $2 billion. But next year I'm going to talk to you again. And I was going to make it $5 billion. And they knew it was coming. The happiest people to see that it was Biden instead of Trump with them, South Korea. You know what they did? They cut off the deal that I made where they were paying us. They backed to nothing because they went back to Biden and they gave it to him for nothing. They were willing to pay. We have 40,000 troops in harm's way. Very serious because you have North Korea is a very serious power. They have tremendous nuclear power. And I said to South Korea, you got to pay. And they agreed to do it. And Biden then cut it back, and it's a shame. And I could tell you 50 deals. And if I were there now, they'd be paying us $10 billion a year. And you know what? They'd be happy to do it. It's a money machine, South Korea. You're going to mention Taiwan. You wanted to mention Taiwan.
No, you mentioned Taiwan. You said you would defend them. You also seemed to imply that Putin, you would not. Putin, you seemed to imply that you had talked to him without actually confirming it.
I said I don't comment on those things.
What about? Can I ask you a particular thing about the dollar? You talked about wars. At the New York Economic Club, you said that if you lost the dollar as a reserve currency, it would be like America losing a war.
Yeah.
You look at what you're going to do in terms of protectionism, drive countries to use the other currencies, and all that debt is also going to lessen the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency.
If I'm elected, the dollar is so secure, your reserve currency is the strongest it'll ever be. And
you say that, President Trump, at the moment there is a thing called the Trump trade in the markets. Do you know what that is? The Trump trade is very simple. People are betting that your policies are going to drive up debt, they're going to drive up inflation, so they're going to drive up interest rates. Are the investors wrong?
Yeah, I had 4 years no inflation. I had 4 years no inflation.
But that was when you had much.
I had 4 years. It's better than that. And Biden, who has no idea where the hell he is, okay? Biden went 2 years with no inflation because he inherited from me. And then they started spending money like drunken sailors. They spent so much money. It was so ridiculous, the money they were spending. they were spending on the Green New Scam. The Green New Deal, you know, it was conceived of by AOC +3. She never even studied the environment in college. She went to a nice college. She came out, she just said, the Green New Scam. She just named all these things.
But President Trump, the issue at the moment, the markets are looking at the fact you are making all these promises. Latest one was car loans. You're flooding the thing with giving giveaways.
But we're going to grow.
I was actually quite kind to you. I used 7 trillion. The upper estimate
is
here
we go.
People like the Wall Street Journal, who's hardly a communist organization,
yeah, but you don't know.
They have criticized you on this as well. You are running up enormous debts.
What does the Wall Street Journal know? I'm meeting with them tomorrow. What does the Wall Street Journal know? They've been wrong about everything. So have you, by the way. You've been wrong about
You're trying to turn this. You're trying to turn this.
You've been wrong about
it. You're trying to turn this into debate. There are business people.
But you're wrong. You've been wrong. You've been wrong all your life on this stuff. You've been. Let me tell you about currency. You're going to jump in a lot of different subjects.
The
reserve currency.
To the subject
let's stick to reserve currency. That's where you started, right? The reserve currency is under threat because you have Iran, you have Russia, you have China. China's the one that you have to worry about because they want it.
Yeah.
They want to have the yuan be the thing of power. So here's what I'm doing. Again, I hate to go back to it. If somebody says, and I know countries want to get out because they don't respect our leadership, they look at this guy, they say, you got to be kidding, and she's worse than him. By the way, I never thought I'd say this. She is not as smart as Biden, if you can believe it. This is not what, we had 4 years of this lunacy, and we can't have it anymore. We're not going to have a country left. Okay, currency, very important.
Yes.
And if you want to go to third world,
No, so the crowd is the Economic Club of Chicago, which is a massive Democrat city. The thing is, though, it's a bunch of business people. So it's a business conference. So the type of people who are there are business owners, like stock traders, that type of stuff. So it's a very business-oriented group. So most of them probably are Trump fans, but that's not necessarily the audience makeup. They're not explicitly there just for Trump. They're there for like an entire, like economic club type thing.
Third world status, lose your reserve currency. We have to have that. We cannot lose it. If you you'll go to third world status in this country because you take a look at the way things are running. If a country tells me, sir, we like you very much, but we're going to no longer adhere to being in the reserve currency. We're not going to salute the dollar anymore. I'll say, that's okay. And you're going to pay a 100% tariff on everything you sell into the United States. And we love your product. I hope you sell a lot of it into the United States, but you're going to pay 100% tariff. He will then follow it up by saying, sir, it would be an honor to stay with the reserve currency. That will be like just playing. That's not even chess, that's checkers. But you don't have other, listen to this, you don't have other people that can talk that way. A lot of people say, we love Trump's policy, but we would like to have another messenger because we don't like him. He's a little bit crass. And then, actually, it was Lindsey Graham, I must say. He was a progressive, in all fairness. But Lindsey Graham said, but Trump's policy doesn't work without Trump. And there's a lot of truth to that. Macron was going to, nice guy, Emmanuel. He's a wise guy, but he's for France, and we're for the USA. You know this story. He was going to tax American companies doing business in France, a very substantial tax. And I told my people, I didn't even like the companies, but I'm representing American companies. So I said, call Macron and call his people and say we're not going to stand for that. And I got Mnuchin and a lot of guys, smart guys. If I can finish, I'll go longer if you want. It helps because you got to be able to finish. You move too quick. No, you got to be able to finish a thought because it's very important. This is big stuff we're talking about. You can't go that quickly.
You've gone from the dollar to
So let
Macron.
me just tell you. So I said, no, I'm just telling you basic. It's called the weave. It's all these different things happening. So let me just say. So I said to Mnuchin, call him up and say, no way. He did, and he came back to see me. He said, they won't do it, sir. It's too late. I said to somebody else, you call him. Then I said, let me do it. And I called him. And I said, Emmanuel, you're taxing American companies very substantially. You're not doing it with other companies. You must think we're stupid. It's not going to happen. But Donald, I cannot do anything. It's too late. Or it was approved by a legislature. I said, that's okay. Here's the story. Every bottle of wine and champagne that you send into the United States, effective immediately, and I'm signing it as I speak.
Mnuchin had a hot wife.
I'm charging you 100% on every bottle of wine and champagne. You know, they like the wine and champagne, right? Every bottle of wine and champagne that comes into the United States of America has a tax on, starting on Monday morning, this was a Friday, of 100%. And that's better than you're doing, okay? And he said, no, you cannot do that. I said, I've done it. It's already signed. Monday morning, he goes, may I call you back? Yes, he calls me back in about 3 minutes. We have decided to remove the tax from the companies. I did this all day long, but you don't have, you think Biden does that? I don't think so.
Hyperscale data centers power the AI boom, and they drive the modern world. They are also at the heart of...
Let me ask you a very factual question. The Federal Reserve.
A factual
You say you
question.
don't want interest rates to go higher. You've gone backwards and forwards about whether you want to keep Jerome Powell as chair of the Federal Reserve. His term as chair runs on to May 2026. Would you seek to remove or demote him?
Look, I think it's the greatest job in government. You show up to the office once a month and you say, let's see, flip a coin. And everybody talks about you like you're a god. Oh, what will he do? I mean, before, the guy used to walk into my office, he was like begging. Oh, he was fine.
But you did talk about you talked about removing him once.
I did, because he was keeping the rates too high.
Yeah.
And I was right.
And you would do that again?
In fact, he actually dropped them too much when I did this. Because I said I was threatening to terminate him. There was a question as to whether or not you could. And there was an article in the New York Times, 2 half pages. 1 page said I can do it by lawyers. 1 half page said I couldn't. And that was enough for him. And he dropped the hell out of the rates. He dropped them too much. He went so, he dropped them actually too much. Okay. Here's the story. I think that if you're a very good president with good sense, you should be able to at least talk to him. I don't say make the decision at all, but I mean, I've been a very successful businessman. I've done really good, much better. Now people are understanding how good I've done because they're seeing it much better than the fake news wants to give me credit for.
Just on the issue of whether you would replace
I think
him.
I have the right to say, as a very good businessman and somebody that's used a lot of sense, I think I have the right to say that, you know, I think I'm better than he would be. I think I'm better than most people would be in that position. I think I have the right to say I think you should go up or down a little bit. I don't think I should be allowed to order it, but I think I have the right to put in comments as to whether or not interest rates should go up or down.
When you looked at the Supreme Court, you came up with a list of people who you thought of replacing, bringing in as Supreme Court justices. Yeah. Would you do that with the Federal Reserve?
Well, I no longer need it. It was a great thing. In fact, a lot of people said I got elected because of that. I was an unknown quantity. I was very known as a business guy, but I wasn't known as a political person or the leader of a country. And people were very worried about, you know, actually they were worried, am I going to be liberal, if you want to know the truth? And somebody said, would you come up with a list of 20 or 25 justices, in this case mostly judges, that you'd put in case it were necessary? Now, it's amazing because I got 3 in 4 years. Most people get none. Because, you know, you put them in the young. You tend to put them in young. Only stupid people put old. You know, you don't put old in because they're there for 2 years or 3 years. Right? So you put them in young. So I got 3. Most.
You, like, listen to that disingenuous little British cunt, bro. You're a 78-year-old man. Yeah, no shit, bro. He's talking about fucking Supreme Court nominations, you dumbass. He's not talking about running for president. But yeah, he thought that was a gotcha moment.
A lot of judges, a lot of presidents get none. I got 3. And I think they've been 3 great choices too, by the way. But
Just on the Federal Reserve.
By the way, I think they have been really great choices. But I got 3 judges, and you know what they want to do? They want to now put up to 25 justices into the Supreme Court, the radical left, and that can't happen. So I think I've done a great job on putting in justices and 300 judges, and that made a tremendous difference in the country. You know, I was a little lucky because Barack Hussein Obama did not get his judges approved, a lot of them. So I ended up with 125 judges before I got there. So again, most presidents don't even get to put a Supreme Court judge in because there's 9, and you know, they're there for a long time. Most of them are there for a very long time. And I got 3, which is a very unusual situation. I got 3 in 4 years.
Maybe we can change the subject to technology, seeing you wouldn't answer about the Federal Reserve. The US Justice Department is thinking about breaking up Alphabet, as Google likes to be known now. Should Google be broken up?
I just haven't gotten over something the Justice Department did yesterday, where Virginia cleaned up its voter rolls and got rid of thousands and thousands of bad votes, and the Justice Department sued them that they should be allowed to put those bad votes and illegal votes back in and let the people vote. So I haven't gotten over that. A lot of people have seen that. They can't even believe it.
The question is about Google, President Trump.
Yeah, look, Google's got a lot of power. They're very bad to me, very, very bad to me. I mean, I can speak from that standpoint. They only have bad stories. In other words, if I have 20 good stories and 20 bad stories, and everyone's entitled to that, you'll only see the 20 bad stories. And I called the head of Google the other day, and I said, I'm getting a lot of good stories lately, but you don't find them in Google. I think it's a whole rigged deal. I think Google's rigged just like our government is rigged all over the place.
So you would break them up, in other words?
I'd do something. You have to have, look, I give them a lot of credit. They've become such a power. It's such a power, and you got to give them credit for that. How they became a power is, you know, really the discussion. At the same time, it's a very dangerous thing because we want to have great companies. We don't want China to have these companies. Right now, China is afraid of Google. Right now, you know, China is a very powerful, very smart group of people. I will tell you that from very personal experience.
There's an example of a Chinese tech company at the moment, TikTok.
Yeah.
You initially wanted to ban TikTok. Now you like it, apparently for some reason to do with Facebook.
Yeah.
There is a decision coming up, if you became president, its Chinese parent would have to sell it, I think it's by January the 19th. Would you force them to do that?
So I originally had it all done, and then I said to Congress, your decision. I said, I'm not going to, you know, pull any strings, nothing. Your decision. You make it. But I had it all done. And I said, you make it. And they decided not to make it. I didn't care if they made it or not, because to me it was a flip of a coin. You know, you have some real First Amendment problems. You have a lot of problems.
You just talked about Chinese technology, the need to defend against it.
Yeah.
TikTok and the threat people see to many kind of American children and things like that.
Yeah, but
you know, why do you no longer see TikTok as a security threat?
I think it is a threat. Frankly, I think everything's a threat. There's nothing that's not a threat. But sometimes you have to fight through these threats. You know, you can't just, like Google. I'm not a fan of Google. They treat me badly. But are you going to destroy the company by doing that? If you do that, are you going to destroy the company? What you can do without breaking it up is make sure that it's more fair. They do treat me very badly. Oh, and he told me, no way, you're the #1 person on all of Google for stories. I mean, which probably makes sense, to be honest with you. I actually believe most of them are bad stories, but these are minor details, right? And it's only bad because of the fake news, because the news is really fake. That's the one we really have to straighten. We have to straighten out our press, because we have a corrupt press. That's the one we really have to straighten.
Can I ask you about Silicon? I was in Silicon Valley recently. You talked to the tech boss.
He was getting mad that he was getting all that applause. You noticed that, right? As soon as all the applause started breaking out, he immediately tried to move on.
Is that and the tech people? And there seems to be a real fear that what you would do with tech is you would hand it over to Elon Musk and say, you sort it out.
No, I have great respect for Elon. Look, I saw that rocket ship come in yesterday and go right back to where it took off, to the gantry, I guess they call it. And I said, what the hell? I was on a phone talking about probably politics, and the television's on, and I'm seeing this big thing where the white paint was burned off it from the, thousands of miles an hour, the heat. And I see this big, massive tube that's 10 stories, 20 stories tall come down. I told the person on the phone, wait a minute, I'm seeing something I don't believe it. Neither does anybody else here. And I said, wait a minute. I forgot the guy was on the phone. He waited for a half hour. And I watched that come down. And I watched it come down and come right in between those big levers. And I said, and it looked to me like I was going to crash. It was coming in hot. And all of a sudden, boom, you see the motor, the fire kick in. And I called Elon. I said, that's the most incredible thing. I said, can Russia do that? Nope. I said, can the United States do it? Nope. He's the only one that can do it. And I said,
you now want to put him in charge of deregulation.
Not deregulation, cutting.
Cutting wasteful spending.
Cutting.
Every single president,
which would include deregulation.
Every president comes in and talks about cutting wasteful spending.
Oh, there's tremendous waste.
Give me an example of something you will do that will get rid of government spending.
Well, let me give you an example. When I came into government, I was the first thing...
An example going forward,
well,
not
but
what you did in the past.
This is going forward because it's the same thing. When I first sat down, a general came into my office and he said, sir, it's nice to meet you. Would you please sign this? I said, what is it? It's a contract for a new Air Force One, which is actually 2 planes, not one, 2 Boeing 747. And I said, how much is it? $5.7 billion. It's a hell of an expensive plane, but there's reasons for that. And he said, nope, I'm not signing it. I said, who negotiated? Barack Hussein Obama. I said, I'm not signing it. Why? Because there's a lot of fat. He said, I'm not signing. It's got to have a 3 on it. Anyway, long story short, some of you have heard this. I got it down to, because first week they cut off $400 million. He said, I'll cut. I met with the head of Boeing. Wait, Dennis. I said, Dennis, you got to have a 3. 5.7 is too much. 5.7 billion. He said, the most I'll take off is $400 million. I said, well, that's not bad for one conversation. So he got it down. I said, nope, I'm not accepting. Then he took off 2 more. Then he took off. Anyway, 2 months went by, 3 months went by. I thought we blew the deal, and it was okay with me. I didn't care. But we should have a new Air Force One. When we see these planes from Saudi Arabia, from different countries, brand new, and ours is like 32 years old, and it's a very different plane. It's a much smaller plane, the whole thing. The United States should have the best plane, I will tell you. Not for me, but we should have it. Let me just finish. So he said, he calls up after like 2-3 months. I didn't call him, which is the best way to buy something. Don't call back. And he goes, in fact, when he called me, I said, I wonder what the hell he wants. That's a good way to negotiate, let me tell you. So he calls back, said, sir, $3,999,999,99 1 penny below $4 billion. So I said, you got yourself a deal. Then I said to him, let me ask you a question. So you had a deal at $5.7 billion, and in a period of 2 months, I got $1.7 billion off. That means you were going to make $1.7 billion profit on an airplane. Did nobody ever negotiate with you? Well, not really, sir. They just, this is the price, and they said, we'll take it. And I said, and then I learned, that was my first experience, from that. But then I learned everything is like that. There is so much waste. So I'm getting, think of this, the exact same plane for $1.7 billion less, except I have a better paint job. Okay, much better paint job. A different color, red, white, and blue is beautiful. And if you look at every contract, that's one contract, and relatively small compared to most. Think of it. You save $1.7 billion because you negotiate. Every deal is like that. We're building ships that are costing 2-3 times more.
Can you give me an example of something?
There's tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse in our country. And if you could cut it, you would have a surplus without even going into growth. But growth we will grow. We're going to bring companies and jobs in at levels
Literally
that you've
Hitler,
never seen.
I know, man.
And you would never be able to do it because you're not a believer in tariffs.
I'm not running for president.
Let me tell you, the only way you can do it is through the threat of tariffs. It's the only way you can do it.
Can we come back to one thing on that? Deal making. You look out across this room, there's some big businesses, but a lot of small ones. You look at the way you've given us a lot of examples of things where you've negotiated with the heads of big businesses.
Right.
Give you an example, when you put the tariffs on China, much smaller than you're planning to do at the moment, when you put them on, Apple came, you negotiated a difference for them.
I did.
That's much harder for small business people. Isn't the problem with the way that you do these kind of deals? You're bound to deal with the big companies. It's the small companies who get hit by all these different things and can't find exceptions.
Oh, we have exceptions. No, we had an exception rule. I gave Apple an exception. Tim Cook is a great business.
Apple is not a small company, and please don't give Tim Cook.
But here's what happened.
The question is about small businesses.
Yes, but what
will you do for them?
No, but we have a very talented group of people. Bob Lighthizer did a very good job. We had great people. We had central casting. These are great, and a large group of people. We made exceptions. In the case of Apple, they needed an exception. You know why? Because of Samsung. He came to me and he said, Samsung makes a product similar to ours, very good product, the phones and other things. And because they're in South Korea, they don't have the tariffs. Because we're in China, we have the tariffs. I said, you happen to be right. You're not going to be able to compete. I said, look, I'm going to give you a 1-year break, but I want you to start building your factories in this country, whether it's Texas or any other place, anywhere in the country. And he said, what does that mean? I said, you have everything in China. I want you to move it from China back to our country. And he started doing that. And he built a factory, a big one in Texas. He built another one. And this was all a process. It was all happening. But I did give him an exception. And the reason was, he said, as soon as he said Samsung, I said, how is that product compared to yours? He said, it's a good product. I said, then you really can't compete. You can't have a 25 or 50% tariff and compete, right? Yeah. And I said,
the spending is like fucking insane, man. When everything is like 10 times the normal price.
That was the question.
But we do it for small businesses too. We do it for small business. I'll give you another example. We have a man who I didn't know, but he came to me. He was at a meeting, and he built kitchen cabinets. And he was, pretty big in the business. That's all he did is build kitchen cabinets. He said, sir, China and South Korea are building kitchen cabinets for 1/3 of what I can make them. I said, what's the quality? They're not as good, but they're good enough. I can't compete. I'm going out of business. I have 2,000 people that work for me. I'm going out of business. I put a 25% tariff still on kitchen cabinets. I saw the guy 3 days ago. He said, I'm the man that saw you about kitchen cabinets. You saved my company when you did the tariff, and you saved thousands of jobs, and my company is now doing very well. And he started to cry. This guy hasn't cried too much, I will tell you. He said, you saved my company. There's nobody that could have done that.
Maybe I can ask you, Ben, about something else. Yeah. Business people here in this room, business people, capital markets, they all like the rule of law. They like certainty. The Chinese, who you mentioned, other dictators,
right.
They don't like it when things go wrong. They like it when things go wrong in America. If you look at the events of January the 6th, 2021, it showed to many people America's democracy was unruly and violent. Only 3 weeks to go to the election. Will you commit now to respecting and encouraging a peaceful transfer of power?
Well, you had a peaceful transfer of power.
You had a peaceful transfer of power. You had a peaceful... Come on, President Trump. You had a peaceful transfer of power compared to Venezuela, but it was by far the worst transfer of power for a long time.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because this is what they like to do. This is what they like to do. It's very interesting.
Question, President Trump, is would you respect the decision?
When I found out about this interview, I did a little check. He's a man that has not been a big Trump fan over the years. So I had a choice. Do I do this interview or not? I'm glad I did it. But do I do this interview, or do I disappoint a lot of people? Because I know a lot of people in the audience. But his view is very different than mine. Let me just say.
I'm asking you a question, Professor.
We had a term, peacefully and patriotically. These were people. If you think an election is crooked, and I do, 100%, if you think the day it comes when you can't protest, you take a look at the Democrats, they protested 2016, they're still protesting it. Nobody talks about them. But if we protest, we want to have honest elections. You think the last election was honest?
Do you think all the times it went to courts, the courts sided with
it didn't go.
whoever?
They went to court, and the courts all said, you don't have standing.
It never
Nobody
actually
had
went to trial.
And it's hard, frankly, after an election for a judge, but they all said you don't. Nobody ever had standing. But the facts, if you take a look, I'd show you hundreds of pages of facts. People were angry. People went there. And I'll tell you what, they never show that. The primary scene in Washington was hundreds of thousands, the largest group of people I've ever spoken before, and I've spoken before. And it was love.
Hyperscale data centers power the AI boom, and they drive the modern world. They are also at the heart of national security in the 21st century. Many data centers have government contracts.
And peace. And some people went to the Capitol, and a lot of strange things happened there. A lot of strange things with people being waved into the Capitol by police, with people screaming, go in, with that never got into trouble, you know? I don't want to mention names, but you know who they are. A lot of strange things happened. But you had a peaceful, very peaceful. I left the morning that I was supposed to leave. I went to Florida, and you had a very peaceful transfer. This was not a, and I'll tell you what, those people that did go down, which was a tiny fraction of the people that went to Washington. I mean, you're talking about a very, very small, because hundreds of thousands of people, and I don't know what you had, 500, 600, 700 people go down to the Capitol. But those people, that was not one of those people had a gun. Nobody was killed except for Ashley Babbitt. She was killed. She was killed. She was shot in the head by a policeman that had no. What he did was horrible.
President Trump,
so,
maybe let's...
So I think we should be allowed to disagree on that. And obviously, you see by the reaction in this room,
let's return to one other big subject you bring up repeatedly, immigration.
Yeah.
I know it's a very emotive issue for you, but just from the point of view of business people here, you look at the full effect of taking a lot of people out of the workforce, removing a lot of people. The Congressional Budget Office is banking on the fact that there'll be $9 trillion added to the GDP of America over the next 10 years by immigrants.
Yeah, illegal immigrants. We don't want them.
You want to stop that process. For all the people who run businesses in the audience, I'm just focusing on the economic thing, are you prepared to say, look, it's fine to have a slightly smaller economy in exchange for having the immigration controls you want?
Simple answer. I want a lot of people to come into our country, but I want them to come in legally. I don't want to have murder.
He's getting pissed.
That means you will have to deport. You know, you are talking about deporting 11 million people. That is a lot of people to take out.
It came out last week that 425,000 people are horrible criminals at the highest level, but it came out that 13,099 were let in during their administration. They tried to say longer, wrong. Over the last 3.5 years, 13,000 plus people came in, murderers. They're in jail for murder. Some were having the death penalty. They were all released into our country. 13,099 people were released into our country. We had drug dealers released. We had street gangs released. Look at what's happening in Aurora, but now I don't have to go with Aurora anymore. Look at what happened last night in Times Square, where migrants from all over the place. You know, it's not just South America. We have people coming in from the Congo, large numbers from the Congo and Africa. They came in, as of last night, I was speaking to Tom Homan, 180 countries, people came in. They came from prisons and jails. They came from mental institutions and insane asylums, a step above. They came from the terrorists. We had large numbers of terrorists come in. When I was president, we had the strongest border in the history of our country. I built hundreds of miles of wall, and walls work, by the way. Hundreds of miles. We had the best numbers we've ever had. Now we have the worst numbers, and here's the problem. We have some of the worst criminals in the world coming in. Now, Venezuela, their crime has gone down at levels that nobody's ever seen before because they've taken their street gangs and their drug dealers and they've emptied their prisons, not fully because they can't get enough buses. They've emptied their prisons. They load up the buses and they drive them into the United States, and they're dropping their prisoners into our country. Their crime is down. Their numbers are crazy how low it's dropped. I heard 72, 74%. They've taken their gangs. They've taken their criminals off the street. They've taken their people out of mental institutions, which cost them a fortune, and they've taken them and dropped them into the United States of America. Those people have to be returned. We can't live with thousands of murderers and not
the issue I asked you about was the idea that if you reduce immigration, every economist will tell you, if you have fewer people, there is a smaller economy.
I like immigration, but they've got to come in legally.
Okay. Well, let's finish on two.
No, I want to make sure. Look, I don't want to have people that have killed 9 people and they're a sadistic, crazy nut job. We have to have people that can love our country, that can that will obey the laws, everything else. You have hundreds of thousands of criminals being dropped in, and Venezuela is one country. Look at what they have done, though, in Aurora. They've taken over apartment complexes. They've gone into the real estate business. See, they're like us, except they've done it with MK, whatever the hell they're called, right? I mean, they have weapons that are so sophisticated, our military doesn't have them. They've taken over parts of cities. In Colorado, you have a place called beautiful Aurora. Take a look at what's happened to Springfield, Ohio, where they dropped 30,000 people into a community of 50,000 people, and it's total bedlam. The hospitals can't be used anymore by the residents. The schools can't be used by the children that were there last year because other people that don't even speak the language.
The issue I asked you about, many companies here have a shortage of labor.
Yeah, that's good. We'll take care of that. We're going to get people in here rapidly, and they're going to be people that want to be in here, and they're going to be people that can...
Hold on.
Love our...
Hold on. Let me read this real quick. So if someone comes from the same countries but legally, what makes you think that they aren't a criminal? Because the reason why it takes so long to immigrate into the United States legally is because we do a full and complete background check on every single person that comes into the U.S. And we work with those foreign governments to not only find their criminal records, but also get all information we can about them to see if they're actually a good fit or not. That's the reason why people come illegally, is because they wouldn't otherwise be able to get the fuck in. So, yeah, that's the whole purpose of vetting people when they immigrate legally. That's why legal immigration is okay, because they're vetted.
Country and won't kill people because they don't like the way they look. These are killers, by the way, some of these killers are among the most evil killers. They will look at you down, the beautiful woman there, they'll look at you and they will kill you. These are seriously sick people. And no, I don't want them in our country. And they are in our country right now, and they're in there because Kamala Harris, who's our border czar, is an incompetent person.
President Trump, for the record, as you know, the crime rate is lower. Can I finish with 2 questions? The first, you just said it, you don't do old. You own and run businesses.
Yeah.
Would you appoint a CEO who was 78?
Oh my God. There's their attempt at a gotcha. There's their attempt at a gotcha. He's really hung up about Trump's age. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Give you a...
I wonder if he had the same qualms with Biden, I'm sure not. I'm sure not. Yeah, when they start talking about his age and cholesterol level, that's how you know that they're grasping for anything at this point.
Questions. The first, you just said it, you don't do old. You own and run businesses.
Yeah.
Would you appoint a CEO who was 78? You didn't give you a medical...
Some of this, yeah, it would. Depends on this. I'd make people like...
This will likely be Trump's last term. Well, yeah, U.S. presidents only get 2 terms, man. So, yeah, this would be his final term because it's his second term. So, yeah.
Like Biden, who's in bad shape, I wouldn't appoint him. He's 81 or 82. He's 4 years older. But I'd appoint... I know some of the smartest people I know. I know a man that made all of his money from the time he was 80 to 90, and he was a failure all his life. He was in the drinks business. The different...
Strangely, you didn't bring this up but you were running against Joe Biden.
No, I never attacked him for his age. In fact, I used to defend him on his age.
I think that's...
Look at him. Look at it, bro. He thought that was another gotcha, and he's having to fucking smug chuckle to himself because nobody else gives a fuck. What a little bitch.
Biden.
No, I never attacked him for his age. In fact, I used to defend him on his age. I attacked him for his lack of competence.
I've asked you all these questions.
No, I never did. By the way, just for because I think it's important, and I know you do too, I know so many people in their 80s that are among... Bernie Marcus is 95, the founder of Home Depot. You have that conversation with him. He's just as sharp as he mentally. He's just as sharp as he ever was. He's 95. I could tell you that in their 90s, I don't want to get into the 90s stuff, but you know what? I know many people in their 80s. I know guys in their 80s that won't leave the company, like family companies where they don't want the kids to take over, because they're much more competent than their kids. I know them both, right? So, no, I would have no problem. And you do have another factor. You know, we've had some of our great...
On the Supreme Court, you just said you don't do old.
Some of our great world leaders are in the 80s.
Yeah, no shit you don't do old on the Supreme Court, you dumbass, because it's a fucking for life fucking appointment. Why would you appoint somebody for a position that they get to keep for the rest of their lives and they only serve for like 2 years? Of course you're going to appoint somebody in their 30s or 40s who's able to serve for, you know, another 30 to 40 years into the future and dramatically shape the future of judicial decisions in the country. Like, that's really your lasting legacy as a president long after your term is over, is the Supreme Court appointments. So, of course, you don't want to appoint an old person to the Supreme Court. You want someone who has many decades left ahead of them. But, of course, this British smug cunt knows exactly what the fuck he's doing, and he thinks he's funny.
If you look throughout history, some of our greatest world leaders were in their 80s. No, that would bother me. But, you know, I took 2 cognitive tests, and I aced them both. I think that, frankly, people, regardless, should take, if they're 50 or 40, or I think people should take cognitive tests, not because of the age, but because of something else. Now, here's the problem. They say it's unconstitutional, okay? But I would love to see cognitive tests. I don't think she could pass a cognitive test. I mean, I've watched. I don't think she could pass a cognitive test.
President Trump, you've gone over many issues on this. I asked you many questions about things. One thing I haven't asked at all about is the state of the race.
Yeah.
And I had a question for you. On election night, which state would you look at first? Which state do you think this race is going to be decided by?
So they say Pennsylvania, I would say most. I think we're doing very well there. I think you look at Michigan too, and I'm doing very well there. You know, we don't have to look necessarily. The votes are starting to come in now. So you look at polls, but you can also look at the votes that are being cast right now. People get a pretty good indication. And based, as we discussed backstage, you know, based on the votes that are coming in so far, we're doing very well. I mean, we're way up in Pennsylvania. We're way up in Michigan. We're doing very well in Arizona. I saw Arizona. In fact, somebody said they're going to pull the plug in Arizona. They're going to give it up because it looks like we're quite a ways ahead. I think we're doing well. Look, This is a party, the Republican Party, of common sense. Forget about conservative, liberal. We're, let's say conservative, but we're really a party of, we need borders, we need fair elections, we don't want men playing in women's sports.
Northern Trust has the expertise that I need.
Deep expertise.
They give me access to experts with the
British wants to cause division among Americans. Well, it's not even that. It's
don't
just
want
by British standards, the Democrat Party is like right wing. The British have fallen so fucking far from where they used to be. It's really sad, honestly. But yeah, the British consider the Democrat Party in the U.S. to be right wing. That basically tells you what you need to know, man. So British media types are just horrid. Absolutely horrid.
Transgender operations without parental consent. You know, there's so many things, but it's 99.9% is common sense. It really is common sense. And I like to say it. I don't know if anyone said it in the past, but I say we're really a party of common sense, and we want to have great people in our country. I want to have a lot of people come in so that you have your choice and so that they have choice. I want to, you know, I have a good heart. I have a heart where I want people to be taken care of, but I don't want to take in people where millions of people, 21 million people at least, have come in the last 3.5 years, unvetted, unchecked. We don't know anything about them. How about this? Gavin Newsom, he's the governor of California.
Newsom.
He signed Newsom, I call him.
Yeah. But do you think...
No, he corrected me. He corrected me. I said, that's the first time I've been corrected.
There are CEOs out here. If they said those sort of things about a rival CEO, they'd be sacked. Do you think it's fine for a president?
But they don't have to survive like me. They don't have to go through what I have to go through. There's never been a president that's been treated like me, so I have to fight my own way.
Well, you made a very good job of...
He signed a bill in California 2 days ago that you don't even have the right to ask a person for voter ID. And if you ask a person for voter ID, of course you have to show voter ID. The only reason you wouldn't do it because they want to cheat. The bill says you cannot, it's against the law for you to ask a person, may I please see your voter ID when he votes? What is our country coming to?
Well, you've given us a tour d'horizon of where that country might be going to. Thank you very much, President Trump.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the conversation.
Bruh. Yeah, that was a really good fucking interview, honestly. Not because of the interviewer, but because Trump just didn't give a fuck, bro. He, like, just straight up told him, yeah, no, sorry, I'm talking, like, just completely fucking overpowered him in every way. And then that fucking smug cunt kept trying to get little fucking gotcha moments in there, and they just fell flat on their fucking face, man. Shit's very sad. Yeah, that was like 2015 style Trump, 100%. 100%. But that's because he has Corey back on his team for the election, so... You know, he's basically the campaign manager that told Trump to, you know, be himself. Oh, almost forgot. Oh, dude, I'm probably going to lose a bunch of subs from this stream tonight. I don't care. I really don't give a shit at this point. You know? The die has been cast. So, it is what it is. Yeah, I really don't give a fuck about subs, man. They don't really matter to me. I don't get into a e-dick measuring contest over fucking subs.
I can't afford this shit!
Let's see. So, Revan Star with the 3, search Serpensa China noodle car. The fuck? Let me see if I can find it. Okay, I'm guessing you mean on Google. I don't see anything, man. Then let's see. Revan Star with the 8, also search Serpents or Pansa people collapsing in China.
I can't afford this shit!
This one's pretty hilarious and quite unexpected. Let's see. This? Alright, we can watch this in a second. Neonverse animations with the 2 and 2. Message retracted on the 1st. Bro, this person is annoying. Let the man speak. They don't want to let him speak because the more Trump talks, the more people like him. So... Damn, is COVID 2 come? I think it's a little late now. We only got
either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck
a little
out.
Less than 3 weeks left, so. And Shadow Evil with the 5. People who try to use January 6th as gotcha or anything are just, yeah, it's desperation, man. It's pure desperation. Neonverse animations with the 10. I just wanted to let you know it was my birthday yesterday. Well, happy birthday to you, man. And British politics are crap because neither Lib or Conservative have done anything good for you. Yeah, it's a shame, man. Y'all are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you don't really have any viable options. Like, it's pretty shitty because, you know, the quote-unquote Conservative Party in the UK allowed all these migrants and stuff to come in and refugees, which has completely destroyed a lot of your major cities. And then the so-called, you know, Labor Party gets in and they're just as bad, if not worse. So it's like, yeah, there's no winners in that situation, bro. It's kind of unfortunate. So I do feel bad for y'all. Like, both of your options are just absolutely horrible. But I think there's that, whatever it's called, the Reform Party or whatever, which hopefully that is better. I heard they have, you know, some decent momentum coming up, but we'll see. But yeah, it's a shame what's happening there. The fact that Muhammad is now the most common name in Britain is pretty sad. That's very fucking sad. And Chronicle with the 1 gifted membership. Appreciate it, dude. Another brain rot stream. What do you mean? What's brain rot about the stream? Alright, I guess we'll watch this real quick.
I'm Hung Kao, retired Navy captain. I spent 25 years fighting for Americans all over the world.
What you're seeing here is a gentle touch causing a grown man in China to collapse on the ground. Then suddenly, a mysterious force causes this auntie to collapse to the ground. A light shoulder tap forces this next woman to the ground, and the shover suddenly collapses too. What is happening in China that so many people are inexplicably collapsing to the ground all around the country of China? This is going to be easy to explain, but difficult for most people to understand. So it's best I just show you.
COVID too?
This old man
Could
slipped
be.
and fell in the rain. He couldn't get back up again, but no one dared help him, out of fear of getting blamed for his fall, and so just left him there. Thankfully, the person recording the video called for help. He didn't dare touch him himself, mind, but at least he called for help. Does your privacy matter to you? If so, you're probably aware of data brokers. Thankfully, this did have a happy ending. See, this old man here was crossing a very busy road, tripped and collapsed.
Hell yeah.
Do you see what I mean by it's easy to explain but difficult to understand? I can guarantee that you, and perhaps the majority of my audience watching this video right now, would have either helped the old man, or at least called an ambulance and waited with the old guy until they arrived, right? In China, however, the bad governance of the CCP has caused a sickness in society, a cowardly unwillingness to help those in need. And don't try to blame it on the bystander effect. This is way beyond that. This is a uniquely mainland Chinese societal problem. I've seen it countless times with my own eyes, and I've often stepped in to help. Now, it's not that the people of China don't want to help each other. They're just shit scared of doing so. I have a great example. I was walking through the Luohu train station in Shenzhen, where I used to live, and an old guy trying to carry a very heavy wheelie bag up some stairs lost his footing and fell down. Didn't fall down too far, it was like 1 or 2 steps. So he was some distance away from me, but I immediately rushed over to help. Scores of people passing by, but as soon as I laid hands on him to pick him up, other members of the public stepped in to help me. You see, I would be the one to take the blame, since I touched him first. So now that initial barrier to helping your fellow Chinese citizen was removed. Plenty of people were suddenly willing to lend a hand. Another instance of this was when I was dating a Chinese girl and we were busy walking back home after eating at a restaurant, and a presumably drunken driver rolled his car right in front of us. He'd taken the corner too fast, hit the sidewalk, and flipped the car over onto its roof. I immediately ran over and saw that there was a family inside and started to pull out a young boy that was in the back seat. He's rather bewildered and luckily not injured. The girl I was with, though, tried to physically pull me away and was screaming at me, telling me not to get involved. I could not believe how callous and uncaring she and the rest of the onlookers were. There was a child and a family in need of assistance, and they were all too shit scared to step in and help. This really destroyed a lot of my faith in Chinese society. So, how is this related to people collapsing all over China? Well, it's one and the same. If someone is injured, the other party involved in the scuffle or incident that led to that injury...
No, he's not making shit up, man. If you've ever seen the way Chinese people act, this is spot on. They have a very hands-off mentality when it comes to any problem that doesn't directly involve them.
Will be held liable by law and forced to pay heavy medical bills and compensation, sometimes for years to come. And the Chinese Communist government has made being a good Samaritan almost impossible, since the government courts have, in very famous court cases, sided with obvious scammers. Remember, there's an entire generation of people in China that lack basic education and morals. Remember the grab hags? Yes. They're the ones that will fall over, and if someone tries to help them, will blame the Good Samaritan, saying that it was in fact the Good Samaritan that injured them. And then when taken to court, these grab hags have in the past won compensation from their would-be rescuers, leading to this absolutely disgusting state of affairs in China. Parents now tell their children to never help people in need, and to mind their own business at all costs. And this is why people are collapsing, pretending to be injured so that they can win compensation.
That's also social programming, in effect, you know. Detach yourself from the rest of society. You know, that's also a brainwashing tactic as well that I'm sure they're using for that reason too, to destroy the sense of community and unity and all that like yeah. Only focus on yourself, only focus on what directly affects you. Don't care what happens to other people. You know, it's to try and basically brainwash people in a sense. So, not surprising.
And that is why the other parties involved collapse too, so that they too can claim to be injured. And hopefully it results in some sort of stalemate that cancels each other out. Stupid, sad, pathetic, and true. But this is the result of the bad governance of mainland China by the Chinese Communist Party.
You like the brain rot layout? I don't know. I need to put like some dancing gifs or some shit in the. Like,
I hope you've learned something today. And I hope that you can join me for my live show on Friday, where I cover the latest news coming out of China, the fun stuff, the serious stuff, and everything in between. Unlike all these pathetic, collapsing adult children, stay awesome.
Subway Surfers? Hell yeah, dude. Oh my god. I love Subway Surfers, bro. Play Family Guy. No. Family Guy is for fucking homos. Let's see. What should we watch, guys? Is there anything even happening? It's been so dull lately in the world of video games and shit. There really hasn't been anything.
I can't afford this shit! I can't afford this shit!
What time? Oh, shit. Alright. It's already... Bro, what? How is it already... Well, I guess we watched like 3 fucking long... Alright, I have to get up early tomorrow. So I may need to hop off for tonight. I didn't know it was already 3. Damn. See, this is the problem with the brain rot layout, is I don't have my time on my fucking right corner of my screen. Yeah, I have to get up early tomorrow because I got an early meeting, so... I don't know when the game arrives. It may arrive tomorrow. May not. I have no clue. Daylight savings, bruh. Huh? Well, the layout doesn't help me. The layout just helps y'all. My only, like, visual I have is, like, half of my right side of, or I guess the left side of my right monitor, which doesn't have the time, because on the right side where the time is displayed, I have this, like, window, and then my OBS window. And then when I have a game open at full screen, this is the only area I would be able to see the time. But yeah, I gotta get up early because I got my meeting at 9 tomorrow, and I have to do some stuff before it, so... Stream my job? That would be incredibly fucking boring. let's see. Am I missing any chats? Let's see. Creators Freedom with the 2 Digimon Gold got fired from job. Ove. I don't know who Digimon Gold is, but maybe he shouldn't have made porn with Digimons or whatever the fuck. And Robin Star with the 299. Didn't we look that up? I couldn't find anything on that. But yeah, if that's another video, then I don't really have time. I gotta get off, so. Let me see. I feel like we searched the noodle car. Paste. Check real quick. Yeah, I don't have time for another video, man. I gotta get off. So, if it was short, we could have watched it, but can't do it tonight. I gotta get off. I was gonna get off at 3 exactly because I need to get up early, but yeah. Go to bed now or you're grounded. I plan on it. So. Daylight savings makes the day feel... Daylight savings already happened. That's already gone, right? Alright, I gotta get off, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. And, yeah, we'll see. What the fuck? Alright, the stream dashboard just fucking crashed. Really? Like, right on the way out, it's gotta fucking crash, so I have to refresh to end the stream. Alright. I will be back, I guess, later today for everybody in the U.S. And, yeah, I will see all of y'all then. So, have a good night, everybody. A great Thursday, and I will talk to all of y'all later. Peace out, guys.